What's up, everyone? Hello, and welcome to another episode of Post Credits Podcast, a show where we are lucky enough to talk about movies with you. This is episode 31, recorded on May 25th in the morning, though, because we have festivities to do.
Because
for the
time
weekend.
matters.
Festivities indeed.
Yeah.
Recorded on May 25th. Yes, 2025. To get posted on Tuesday, May 27th. The podcast services everywhere, which include Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, and then YouTube. So not only podcasts, but also YouTube. If you are listening to us on an audio-only version, first of all, thank you. Feel free to check us out on YouTube as well. You can see all of our shenanigans there. And even when Chris might be hungover a little bit.
No, we're good.
Okay, we're good. All right. Not going to admit to the public, to the world? All right. You can watch full segments there or full episodes, however you choose. However you choose to enjoy our content, thank you very much. Well, boys, we got an episode this week.
We do.
Watched a big movie. I'm very excited to
We
watch it.
watched a long movie.
We did. It was super long, but it
watched
wasn't
long.
bad. It wasn't. I don't think it was super noticeably long, though. Do you guys?
It was paced okay for a while, and
Yeah.
I'll talk about. I'll
Okay,
talk
okay.
about
Yeah,
that.
let's talk about
I
it.
think we're all going to say the
Yeah.
same thing.
it's
but
possible.
Like, there's a point where I'm just like, this is taking too fucking long.
we all know where that point is, but it was meant to mimic something in the first film, and I'll get to that
I
later.
got you.
But how you guys doing today?
We're good, buddy.
We're good, man.
How are you?
I'm good. I just want to try to shuffle things up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had noticed when you asked a question that
Out of turn. I
Yeah.
know. It's fun. It's fun.
I
Just
have
like
a- I
Mission
have
Impossible.
a properly colored shirt this time instead of being invisible.
True.
Which
true.
did you watch the last
I
video?
did.
It looks fucking hilarious.
I thought it was good.
It looks
Because like somewhere through the episode, you forget that's even a thing, and you just start acting normal, but you're just a head and a beard,
Mhm.
and that's what makes it funny.
Well, then when I would lean though, because I had the design on my shirt, like you
Yeah.
could see it pop up, so it was like nothing, and then yeah, it was.
Disappear into the void, into the
Yeah.
void.
I'm gonna do that more often.
Yes.
Disappearing in the void.
Yeah.
That's dark.
Well, guys,
Hello, dark.
let's talk about
I
stuff.
think I got to this point in my life.
We're gonna yammer on. It's a holiday weekend, so we're gonna talk about our plans for that. We're gonna get into box office, which won't be a long segment this week because we're
No.
recording before the numbers are available.
Did you see the number for Lilo and Stitch
Yeah,
for fucking
it's
Friday?
Pretty insane, actually.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Is it high?
Yeah, it's
Nice.
high.
Huge.
Oh, all right.
So we're gonna talk about that later. We got some trailers to talk about, then a movie recommendation by Roger.
Yeah.
You,
Me.
you might be surprised what he talks about. You won't be surprised.
won't be
It's-
surprised.
It's the best movie in the
It's the,
franchise,
it's the
and it should
best
be.
Mission Impossible movie.
Then we're going to talk about the Mission Impossible franchise as a whole, and I going to ask some weird questions to the guys
Oh,
here, and I'm
God.
excited for this. I've thought about this for a while. I'm really excited. They're 3 quick questions. You guys will enjoy them.
Mhm.
So will you, listener?
Last time you
Can you guarantee that I'll enjoy it?
You know, because you're a fucking wild card, and like you're just pure chaos.
The last time
incarnate.
you asked us weird questions, you ended up with your shirt off. So I don't want to repeat that.
and my pants came off. Too.
Oh God.
I know. You don't remember that part though, just the shirt. That's interesting. Interesting. Then we're going to talk about Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I am one of your hosts, Grayson Maxwell. Joining me as I do every week are my lovely co-host Roger Stillion and Chris Bond. You guys are both lovely this week. How do you feel about sharing the
Nice.
spotlight of loveliness, Chris?
That's fine. It's good with me.
How do you feel, Roger?
I don't give a shit.
I don't give a shit. Roger Stillion. Lovely.
That's it.
Well, it is 10 a.m. on Sunday morning, and we're recording.
like
so
After 10
10:30.
a.m.
It's
It's
10:45.
10:45.
It's closer to 11 than 10.
Yeah,
Fair.
we're
is
steaming
fair.
towards that 11 o'clock hour.
I got my coffee. I'm very excited. I had a cup of my Highland Grog coffee this morning. Do you guys ever have that?
What?
It's called Highland Grog.
No.
It's got like a vanilla flavor to it. But
I like the word grog, but I don't like the fact that you said grog. But it's fine.
grog. No, you don't like it? When I look at the
What makes
grog.
it grog?
I don't know why
Because
they
it
call
tastes
what they
like
call it.
vanilla. Because
Why
I've
is the
had
grass green,
I've had
dickhead?
1,000 grass is green because of fucking photosynthesis starring chlorophyll. You learned this in fucking 5th grade science.
Yeah, that was wrong.
Yep.
Chlorophyll.
Explain
like
to me.
chlorophyll.
Explain to me the shitty grog name in that kind of terms. I challenge you to do so.
I cannot, sir. You win that challenge. You
Like,
win that
does
challenge.
that mean every time I get like a vanilla iced coffee from like Dunkin' Donuts, so I have
Grog?
to order a grog? I don't think that's some
No,
universal thing
No. Speaking of, I have a question for you guys.
about Dunkin' Donuts.
No, yesterday, excuse me. Yesterday I woke up. Not by my choosing, of course. And I want to ask you guys when the last time this happened to you was. So it was like 3:15-ish. You know how like you toss and turn in bed?
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago. Happens to me all the time now.
I
I'm old.
stretched and my leg, it cramped so
Oh yeah,
bad.
you're fucked.
You're cursing. I was cursing the heavens in futility, and it was. I got up and tried to walk. I just fell over, made this huge clamoring, and it hurt for like I still feel it. When was the last time your leg seized like that? You guys remember that? It has to happen to you
3
a lot.
days ago. I don't know. So
How do you deal with it?
I get.
I'm
leg
properly
cramps a lot.
hydrated, so
Yeah, that's,
So am I. I drink so much water, and it still happens.
clearly you're not.
I am though. I
Mhm.
drink water like it's like I need it, and it's.
potassium, magnesium.
That doesn't mean you're
salt is
properly
what you need.
I
hydrated.
do have a banana a day, so that's
Okay.
take care of that. And I do have. I've got to have a gallon and a half of water a day. Why do you laugh?
I almost asked you the worst question.
What?
ever. I know. I'm not
Don't do
doing it.
Don't do it.
Now I'm curious. Do you know what it was? You don't know what it was.
Yeah, don't do it.
Was it
Listen, I'll tell you later, and
All
it'll
right.
be fucking hilarious.
fine.
Anyway, get you some.
But
Get you a magnesium supplement if you never want it to happen again. Because you probably don't have enough magnesium in your
I've
diet.
researched that, and then people say they still get them with magnesium, but
Yeah.
that was a wicked cramp.
Yep.
That was very.
I thought you were
painful.
just going to be complaining about waking up randomly at like
Yeah,
3
yeah,
to 4
I
in
was
the
gonna
morning.
say.
I'm like, that happens all the time to me.
No, but
now.
I woke up and felt like my leg was in a vice, and it was very very, very painful. This is
So I mean, welcome to your elder age of 50s.
my
So,
advanced
yeah.
age, as Roger calls it.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, guys, what else? What's going on this week with you?
Oh no, it is Memorial Day weekend.
It is
I
Memorial
guess
Day
Happy
weekend.
Memorial Day weekend, everyone out there.
Yep.
We wish
Watch
you a happy
Band of-
and
watch
safe
Band of
one.
Brothers,
There you go.
because you should.
As you do.
Speaking of Band of Brothers, did you catch the Band of Brothers, the actor in this one?
Which one?
He was he was Liebgott. I think he was Liebgott in Band of Brothers. And we talk about it a lot, so I think he
okay.
was that actor. But he was one of the ones that Ethan detained early in the film, like when in Behind the Cloth.
Oh, okay.
And,
No, I guess I didn't
I think that
realize.
was him. Anyway, sorry, random aside. Anyway, Band of Brothers, go ahead.
Oh, one of the single greatest series of all time.
It is indeed.
Everybody should watch it.
It's almost as good as Chernobyl.
Almost.
I
mean-
would. Man, Chernobyl is so good.
It really is.
So I understand your position a little better now. You know why? Because I was scrolling on Max and I was like, I gotta watch Chernobyl again. So
Already, right?
I understand your plight. I do.
Oh, let's
Um,
talk about Max for 2 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
See, they're finally adding HBO back to Max.
Yeah, weird.
Are they really? What does that mean?
Yeah.
So what does that mean for
No,
like
they're
stuff?
actually renaming it HBO Max again because they realized that Max is a stupid fucking name.
It was a very poor choice of name.
It was. Yeah, to remove your branding from your brand is crazy. Like I don't know.
Well, it's very foolish, is what it is. It's
Yeah.
something that should have never have happened. But
Yep.
Yeah, it shouldn't have happened, but it did for whatever reason. Because just remember, they also own Cinemax.
Mhm.
Okay, so when you say Max, people assume it's Cinemax, right?
Yeah.
I would assume there's a fair number of people who do. Yeah.
But it's primarily HBO.
yeah, because HBO is HBO.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
that's why
yeah.
I don't think HBO Max. I think HBO.
Yep.
So.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't
What
know.
about you, Chris? What are you getting into this weekend?
Oh God.
What did you get into this week?
So this week didn't really get into
Chris,
much.
what time did you go to bed last night?
I went to bed late. So
Why, Chris? Tell
This
us
week
why.
is a lot of prep for what this weekend is, and which is Memorial Day weekend. But my family goes big on Memorial Day weekend,
Which is cool, man. I like
lawn
it.
darts. That's the big takeaway. Lawn darts.
we've played everything darts a time or two. But the most pressing thing for us is our family badminton because we play
So
extreme.
tell me about that. You've mentioned this to us before on
Yeah,
a different
multiple
thing.
times,
Which
actually.
you guys are always invited for badminton if you guys ever want to come up, which I know you never will. But
When is it? When is it?
huh?
When?
At 2:00 today. So
Okay.
all right.
It's
I'll
not like
hold
you
you
have
to it.
anything to do this afternoon.
Yeah, so we play badminton, but we play with volleyball regulation height nets. So you have to have to send it
wild
higher. It's not
concept.
back and forth. There's there's actual spiking involved. Then there's we have net battles. There's a lot that happens when we play badminton.
Is it
but
like
it's-
Wii tennis where like someone's just back and forth? Just
Yeah, it's exactly
And
that.
also, when you said there was, I thought you were going to say there was spikes involved. I'm like, wow, this is a dangerous.
Not spikes on the ground. However, someone did jack up their foot real bad one time on a floor spike while
Ooh,
playing
man.
badminton because we had the net reinforced with metal
Oh,
spikes.
right. That
Because we,
makes
were pulling
sense.
the net, 'cause we were pulling the net down too much, battling at the net. So
You know,
but yeah,
a few years ago, we were at a gathering, it was like a family gathering, but like it was like later in the day when
Mhm.
like the kids are winding down, so the
Yeah.
adults are playing volleyball, and it was just regular volleyball.
Yeah.
So it gets super intense, and like we had people like run into each other at
Oh, yeah.
full speed,
Yep.
and like people got actually hurt, and I was just
Yeah.
like, this is so fucking awesome.
Jeez.
Well, it's that spirit when we play badminton.
Yeah, no,
so.
I get it.
Yeah, no,
I
it's.
think
good-
it's
good
comments
times.
like that, Roger, that cement you as the villain
It's fine.
of the show.
Because, like, look,
And he even liked
if
it.
you don't laugh at people running into each other
Fair.
doing dumb shit, like, I can't.
Well, that's why slapstick comedy is
Yeah,
always
it's
funny
fine.
to an extent.
Yeah.
To an extent.
Like, that's why I watch videos of people like getting smashed, like
Yeah.
just running into shit, or
Shout out to slash R full scorpion. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Good times.
Like
meat-
YouTube videos of like people that
You want to
get
go
demolished.
deeper? There's one that's slash meat crayon. So
Meat crayon.
I assure
That's a tough
you,
one.
it gets much darker.
That's actually a lot of fun.
You guys remember Man versus Tree?
Yes, of
Okay,
course.
yeah,
I
yeah,
remember it.
good times.
So one of my favorite
That is a
videos.
fucking awful video.
One of my favorite
It's
videos of
bad.
all time, and I think a lot of. I mean, at this point, it's got like tens of millions of views. But so they're trying to. There's two kids trying to pick up a golf cart that's fallen over, and someone picks up from the other side, and someone's trying to pull it. Well, the guy
Oh,
who pulls
my.
it, you see it slow mo, like the white hood of the golf
Yeah,
cart.
yeah.
It comes and it's hits him right there so hard that you feel it when you watch it.
Yeah.
And the video is hilarious to me, but every time I watch, I'm like, he's dead, or
He's blind or dead.
or he's blind or dead, or worse, his skull's caved in and he's dealing with that.
Yeah.
But I mean,
What, is it worse to be dead or have like the fucking dent in your forehead?
I don't know.
Because then every time
I
somebody's
think he
like, I
meant-
wonder what happened to that guy.
I think he meant brain damage or retardation.
No,
was, like, dealing with
I
that.
actually meant like the actual caved in skull.
No, I meant
you
the
see
caved in
every
skull.
now and
Oh, okay,
then.
okay.
It hits him so, and you
Yeah,
you hear like the
The crunch.
the crunch of like early 2004 kind of yeah. So that's the video I gotta go back to.
All right, nice.
It lives rent free in my head over and over again,
That's
among a
good.
million other videos of like people getting hurt on YouTube. But
That's
yeah,
good. I
it's
mean,
always
like
funny.
every now and then, my algorithm will give me a video that I'll still laugh at, and it's
Yep.
always something like terrible. It's never,
Oh, it's nothing.
it's never a sweet
Or like
video.
what's funny to me is like when people jump and they miss pools or like
Oh, yeah.
trampolines and they just land on their they're just like and
Well,
you're just laughing
when
at
it's
them.
just like ass first, so like
Yeah.
you know it's like a busted
Oh,
tailbone.
yeah,
Like,
tailbone's
look,
gone, right?
because
It's
like
powder.
sometimes they miss and like you see their legs break, and I don't really want to see that too often. But yeah, because it's just like because you're watching like ooh something bad. So,
Yeah.
ooh, oh no, there it is.
Wasn't there a recent WWE injury? Some woman
Yeah.
jumped off of a top rope and like
Busted her leg up.
shattered her knee or something.
Yep,
Yeah,
it happens.
I don't like
All right,
that.
this has been Pain Talk on the Post Credits Podcast. Well, guys, let's start a show, shall we?
Yeah, let's do
Let's
it.
do that.
Once again, folks, this is episode 31 of Post Credits Podcast, where we talk about movies with you. We are very lucky to do so. We have a show, so let's start it. Let's look.
You know
take
what
a
video
quick
that
look.
comes into my feed all the
Oh,
time?
what you
You
got?
know what video that comes? It's not even
I
one.
tried to
It's
sail
a
right past
stupid
this.
video that it's where the guy is the guy's in the he's at some Comic-Con or so he's at some kind of con and the dude in the frog suit like the guy
Oh,
like
yeah.
he flexes it
Yeah.
and the guy like takes off his frog suit and is just fucking ripped.
Dude.
Like I don't know why I fucking think that video is hilarious just because the frog just like huh Wham! Then it just devolves in him just wearing the
Yeah.
helmet, just full on posing.
Well,
I don't know. I fucking love that video.
You've heard of Battletoads? How about
Battle
Buff Toad?
Toads, Double
That's-
Dragons, yeah.
That's it. It's fucking.
All right,
Sorry.
guys, let's talk about some
I love
movies.
that video.
We don't have box office numbers for you this week.
We
However,
do have a little bit.
we have a little bit of data. So let's look at the dailies from Friday. Lilo and Stitch, massive day.
Chris, you have no idea what this is, right?
I don't know what this number is. However, I do have some information for you guys about that.
All
Too.
right, but let me just so this is just Friday right now from Friday's numbers. Not even Saturday's been tabulated yet. 55 million domestic, 138 worldwide. One day.
That's crazy. But
That's nuts.
so the 138 worldwide, I think is I think Lilo and Stitch released early in other countries, and I think it got all of the totals added to day
Fair.
one.
I mean, that's
So it's a little bit inflated in that regard, but I didn't know what the numbers were. 55 domestic.
I mean,
is still
when you see the
huge.
numbers for the weekend, though, it's going to be insane.
Oh yeah.
It's tracking for like 165.
Yeah,
Like-
pretty high. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, the second one, 24.8 million for Friday, for a worldwide right now of 30. That's so disappointing. That's so.
Well, 30 worldwide is going to be.
Yeah, that's right.
It's going to be related to
it's fine.
how many countries it's already in. You
It's
know
a
what I mean?
tenth of the budget. You know.
Yeah, it's got to climb, but the previous movie didn't make its budget back either.
Correct.
so.
It didn't. Well, they were both one budget. They just kind of parsed it. But
Yep.
let's talk about number 3. The Final Destination: Bloodlines 5.5 for a worldwide of 153. So that's I think that's a win.
I
for
mean,
them.
congrats to them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The movie
they've done
wasn't
well.
terrible. We talked about it last week.
Yeah.
You know,
Sinners, another 2.4 million worldwide, is sitting in a very respectable 329.
good for them.
That's
Sinners is a
movie.
good movie.
Damn good movie.
Sinners
Absolutely.
is a good movie.
Thunderbolts made the same total as Sinners, and it's sitting at 335.
Okay.
So it's actually Sinners past it. That's mind blowing.
Sinners passed or Thunderbolts passed it?
Oh no. So Thunderbolts is 6 million ahead. Sorry.
There you go.
Okay.
So, but that's still comparable. That's nuts for Sinners. Good for them. Good for them.
Yeah, Sinners is by far the surprise for me of the
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6 through 10 on Friday. The Last Rodeo, Friendship, a Minecraft movie, The Accountant 2, and Hurry Up Tomorrow.
My nephews
The Last Rodeo.
and my father-in-law just went to go see Minecraft this weekend for the first time.
Yeah?
So that movie is still getting people to go see it.
What's
How-
the number?
what-
What's
what
the
was
number
the
for
crowd?
What's the number for Minecraft?
Right now, 934. Like it could reach $1 billion.
No, it won't. 2
You
million.
think?
It would need to be in theaters for 30 more weeks at $2 million a week.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, for what it's done, that's
No,
incredible.
its
Like,
number is far beyond what it needed to make for sure, and it's a very impressive number to hit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of movies that get released that are $300 million that wish they made $900 million.
Yep.
Right. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
I mean,
they
the
did a
other
good
thing with this too is this is kind of the end of Minecraft because Lilo and Stitch officially eats its
Yeah.
entire audience.
Yeah.
So there's
job,
that.
which obviously it is. So
I mean, it's eating everything.
Yeah.
So
it is, and it's going to continue to do so for a few weeks.
I hear it's okay, like Lilo and Stitch.
I watched
so.
it. I'm going to watch it again before we talk about it next
Okay.
week. I have my qualms, but maybe I'll watch it again. It'll sit easier with me.
the only thing
I imagine you're going to have some issues.
we'll watch it as a family, but I won't be on that episode of the show with you guys. So
No, yeah, Chris will be off next week.
yeah, I hope you guys have a good discussion on it. But like the only thing I've heard so far is that Stitch is like by far and away the best thing about it, and done perfectly. It's the thing surrounding the character that a lot of people have some issues with so far, like here and there. So I'll be interested to see it and like make my own judgments. on it.
Well, what's funny, so I saw a video. The little girl did the same. The little girl who plays Lilo did the same thing that who was Snow White?
Rachel Zegler.
They said about, well, that was 1935. This is not, like, she did the same thing. Like, that was 2002. This is not. So we'll see how that goes. It's gotten a lot of negativity.
Well, when you're young
already.
and impressionable, you know,
Sure.
some asshole you look up to will make you say stupid shit. Yeah,
Sure.
that's fine.
But I wasn't a lot. The crowd was very responsive to it. They laughed. They were upset. They cried. The movie got good reaction when I was in it. It was a slightly packed. I wouldn't say it was packed. It was like right on the verge of busy and packed. But so I'm excited to see what it does for next week. But I wasn't crazy about it my first viewing. I was actually kind of disappointed. But maybe it'll sit better with me.
Yeah, but
when I see
that's
it
how
again.
Disney live actions go
Yeah.
at this point. So
We will see.
True
I
story.
have my theories.
I never
Chris.
really
You
liked
can hate
Lilo
it.
and Stitch to begin with.
I
So
was never big on Lilo and Stitch
Yeah.
either. You know, I think Stitch as a character is just borderline, is so close to being an annoying character because maybe it's because I'm an older brother and it just reminds me of my little brother with all the annoying antics. But
Mm.
it's adorable enough to be forgiven. Where my
Sure.
younger brother was a little fucking demon.
Mm.
So
That's
a
fair.
fucking demon.
I hope he's listening.
If your little brother wants to come on and talk on the show, you're more than welcome. We will mediate. Roger won't mediate. He will full on allow
My
fight.
brother's a big A24 fan now, so like he's never been a movie guy, but him and his now girlfriend have been doing a movie night thing, and they every time they pick an A24 movie, they're always excited because
No, I mean,
they
good.
know it's a high chance to be
The
quality.
latest one was Warfare.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good.
Well, I mean, did you see what A24
I just saw that.
signed up
What?
for?
Oh yeah.
They have the Elden Ring
Oh,
franchise.
Elden Ring is a big deal
Big
for
deal.
anybody
Massive
that
deal.
isn't in gaming. I just promise you that is a big deal. However, I'm already worried because it's going to be one of those things where did they grab it because they're passionate or grab it because it's a big name? So
Again, though,
that's what I'm worried
As
about.
A24, I'm less concerned about.
I agree
that.
with that. The
Yeah.
fact that it's A24 is the only thing that has me hopeful at the
Well, they
moment until I
attached
see
a
stuff.
director too, right?
Yeah.
well, it's just there's so many different ways they could take it. It's just
Elden
can
Ring
see-
is such a
well, they've got to do it right, or they're gonna eat shit.
the advantage of Elden Ring is that it's a very wide open, like it's more of a
Oh
wide.
yeah, it's Alex Garland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a wide open like lore, so it has this. It's very fill in the blank kind of deal with like some stuff, but like there's very key enemies
Yeah.
that you face, and there's no main hero in it. So like they can make any hero they want to fit.
There will be for the movie. I promise.
Well,
you.
no, there should be for the movie, but like they have the opportunity to forge like the story of a hero around some very big set piece villains. So we'll see what that looks like.
Better be a man wearing a loincloth and a clay hat on his fucking head.
Better be a man wearing a loincloth.
It needs to be the Yoda looking creature that keeps looking at the camera.
All right. On that said, let's talk about a couple of trailers really quick. Let's talk about Jurassic World Rebirth. These are some big ones.
Jurassic World. Small movie. I've never heard of it.
Well, okay. I have my problems with this. Like Roger, I assumed that franchise was done after the last one wrapped. It seemed to be an ending point. Threads were tied up. Blue and Chris Pratt were at a good place. Like it just seemed like it was time to go. Like some of those movies were very lowly reviewed. It just seemed like a good time to walk away.
I agree with you that it should have been done there, and it felt like it should have been done there because of what they did with the last film of bringing old characters back in, and like giving them
It felt like a finale.
Yeah, right. Like it was like, hey, let's pay some homage. Let's let's bring some fan favorites
people
back.
made this possible.
Yeah,
let's
so like
give them...
that feels like a very natural.
And they played a normal a role that was semi believable.
Yeah, well, that was Ellie came back, Dr. Grant.
Yeah,
did even what's his
Malcolm.
Yeah, he came back. Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like but
the Raptors.
Yeah, all these things happen that like
technically the Raptors never left.
Fair, yeah.
True, but that screams finality. But then your movie makes close to $1 billion, and then it's
you can't leave that money on the table. More. So let's. My thing is, why is it called Jurassic World? What you had an opportunity to rebrand and call it Jurassic Park is more fondly remembered, I think, than Jurassic World. Why not call it Jurassic World Rebirth? That's my thing. I know there's reasons for it. I get it.
Yeah,
I know
legal reasons for it.
Yeah,
sure, but I mean, I think it would have been worth whatever penalty you had to pay just to go back to it. But
sometimes it's not.
We talk a lot about sequels these days, and one of my I don't understand how you can be now. What this is movie number 7, at least, right?
7.
Is it 7?
Yeah,
7 or 8.
We've had 2 trilogies.
Yeah, yeah.
So
7. Again, they're making the same mistake a 7th time, going to the island, thinking they can control it, they can take a baby. Their science is better than evolution, and that's my worry. What's going on over there?
Yeah, the fact that they have a baby in a baby dinosaur in a backpack.
We've done this several times.
I know. It's like we've seen this before.
I mean, it is cute.
It is adorable. Don't get me wrong.
Adorable.
Yeah, I mean, now we have the technology to make it look even cuter. I get it, but like, I don't think that's what's gonna.
Well, apparently we have the technology to spawn a predator alien hybrid dinosaur. Which, fucking finally, dude. Let's just get to where we need to be.
Yeah, Chris made the joke: AVP meets D or AVPVD.
Yeah,
like it
does look strikingly like a predator's alien hybrid.
It does.
The face, it does.
His mouth opens weird, but it's got the whole head thing going on.
So we are talking about the newest trailer that came out a couple of days ago.
Yeah,
where you do see some more dinosaurs that we have never seen before.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, I think I don't have a problem with how this movie works anyway, because like it is very typically a Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park has a very, very straightforward formula. It's very by the numbers feeling. If you've seen one of these movies, you can assume you know what's going to happen in all of them so far.
They're very similar, all of them. I mean,
there's always a common thread of they end up on an island for what, except for 4, okay, where like the park was established, right? But we saw it multiple times in the first trilogy where you end up on the island for XYZ reason, and you have to complete that task and then extract from the island. Like we have seen that many times.
Under duress.
I mean, nobody just walks in, picks up a handful of flowers, and be like, "Hey, this is what I came for." Like we have to make that one extra trip to the grocery store, and you're like, "Fucking forgot the chips."
Yeah,
got them.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a thing of dip. I'm just grab those 2. The yellow extra stuff on the way out.
Avocados. Oh,
make some guac. It's fine. Like it never works out like that in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, no, I mean, it works out for the dinosaurs because of course.
I mean, also still again, they're not shooting dinosaurs in the face. We haven't done that in many movies. They should bring that back.
It doesn't. Same with Mission Impossible. Why do these henchmen not have guns? Why do they attack our party with sticks and knives and not just shoot them? But I mean, that's up to the filmmaker to establish.
I think that it probably has a lot to do with rating because, like, you can shoot them and like not show much, but like at the same time, if you're close quarters with these things and you want to use your gun as a defense, you probably want there to be like blood splatter, like chunks of it flying off. I don't know. I don't know what you can get away with rating wise with that.
Well, I mean, Spielberg is always going to be attached.
Even
to
with some small guns, it would do literally nothing to them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, science? I mean, do we know that for sure, or is that just what we've created for the movie?
Yeah, I mean, like that.
Rhino and elephant skin can deflect.
Yeah,
but
bullets.
like raptors is probably not tough enough to deflect.
Yeah,
a
but
bullet.
like larger ones probably
maybe,
are.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you: are you guys excited for? I find that I am oddly not excited for Rebirth. I'm not. I'm gonna watch it. I'm probably enjoy it. I'm just not excited for it.
I mean, like, look, I hope I enjoy it, but I mean, every time there's Jurassic Park movie, I have to be somewhat excited for it because the idea
because you are a man.
of fucking yes, is the idea of big giant fucking dinosaurs that looked real, that continue to look more and more realistic. Like I'm here for that.
Yeah.
Like I want to see things.
So I have a confession. I haven't seen all the Jurassic Park movies at this point.
Sorry, you're probably not missing a whole lot.
Which ones haven't you seen?
I haven't seen the one where the parks reestablished and the one after that. I've seen the one that we talked
So you've
about.
seen
on Previous
as long as you've
Adventure.
seen the first one, the Spielberg.
I've seen the first
the
three.
first two, the first two. But like, okay, that because that's the best by far.
So,
That's
I like
Jurassic-
3 a lot. Actually,
Jurassic Park 4 is a pretty good movie.
the one where the parks.
That's when the
established,
parks
right?
That's Lost
reestablished.
World, yeah.
That's Lost
no,
World.
no. Jurassic World. Jurassic World.
Jurassic World.
Yeah, Lost World's 2.
Good movie. It was a great movie to bring to start a trilogy with, and then it was just
Yep.
like 2 is just the second number
God, it
5.
sounds like Star Wars.
Yes, number 5 is so fucking bad.
Yeah,
Like
that's the one I know. I
well, that's the one I almost walked out of the theater because
that's
it was so
okay.
bad.
Okay.
Like
Which just
the
didn't-
last half hour of that movie is so terrible.
It's atrocious. It's just
so fucking bad.
you take advantage of.
It turns out we're just cloning people too. So of
Oh
course.
shit! Okay, yeah.
a very somewhat relevant villainy going on. So, yeah.
Yeah, okay, but I haven't seen the 2 before the last one we watched, right? So it's like, and it's because I feel like I've seen one of these. I've seen all of these.
You saw the worst of the 3 then.
Yeah,
If you had seen the
worst of the second
4 and 5,
trilogy, yeah. You saw the
one.
5's the worst.
Oh,
of the
Yeah.
second
is
trilogy.
that Fallen
I was gonna
Kingdom?
say, yeah,
Yeah.
What was the 6th one called?
I don't know.
That was Fallen
Nostal-
Kingdom, right?
no.
No, Dominion.
Dominion.
Yeah.
Dominion.
That's it.
Nostalgia bait. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the last one. Yeah,
Yeah.
So in the second trilogy, the first one's the better one. The last one is number 2, and the middle one is the worst. So
Gotcha.
at least most people would say
But-
that.
But yeah,
Obviously, have your own opinions on movies.
Well-
Don't listen to some asshole on the radio.
yeah, true. But,
Never
like,
forget. Don't listen to 3 assholes on the radio.
I'm a little excited for this one, like comparatively speaking to like other times I've seen these things come up, and I'm really excited for the water scene. Like, and I don't know what it is, but the whole water like chase they have going on within the trailer where the whale looking dinosaurs like coming out of the water, dude, I bet that's gonna look cool as shit on screen.
Well,
Usually a big deer.
in the new trailer, if you haven't seen it, the T-Rex swims,
That's a terrifying.
which
there's-
makes me wonder how deep that fucking water actually is.
yeah.
Well, it means there's no more natural boundaries when T-Rex and us. Just saying. He can
I don't know if they're long
I-
swimmers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is more of a sprint, not a marathon.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's safe to say we're
I mean,
kind of
Costa Rica
intimidated by
really
it.
isn't that far from the United States in the
True.
grand scheme of the Earth.
True.
So-
Ilsa Nublar, whatever the island's called. I think it's
I'm
safe
just
to say.
picturing a T-Rex
Isn't it
doggy
new?
paddling to get air now.
I figure it would just float, right?
All right,
Just
all right.
float on its back.
Have you seen its noggin? It ain't floating nowhere.
Oh, because the head's so big, though, it's like, yeah, I think.
All right,
it's
all right. So we're,
fucking buoyant, dense.
think
I think it's dense.
I think it's safe.
thick.
Thick boy.
Thick and dense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I tell all the girls.
This is weird.
Ooh.
So I think we're all timidly excited, at least the fun for me. But let's switch focus. Let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about a horror film. It's special to me.
A horror film?
Horror.
Oh,
Horror?
Yeah. Not horror film because it sounds like you're saying horror film. Yeah, I get your joke.
Horror?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Horror?
Anyway, let's go. I know what you did last summer. It's
hates it here.
special to me. I just finished working on it, so it got some meaning to me. I'm a big fan of Scream, and of course, this one came second.
Jennifer Love Hewitt going to come on the show?
She's not.
Oh.
I could expand on that, but she's not.
Did you even ask?
No,
Of course
no.
you didn't. Fucking
No.
coward.
Fucking coward. For a reference for that, I once sat next to Hillary Swank on a flight to Canada and said nothing to her, like literally in the seat next to me.
He sent me a text message, and I immediately said, invite her on the podcast. And he only said, I won't do that.
She wasn't having any of my shit.
You miss 100% of shots you don't take,
Yes,
sir.
thank you, Wayne Gretzky. It's for sure.
Michael Scott.
So let's talk about. I know you did last summer. Now you guys have seen the original film and the sequel,
Yes.
which doesn't.
I don't remember very
Aren't
well.
there several sequels?
Yeah, there's like
I think
9 of
so,
them,
but no one. only consider the first one canon.
Okay,
from what I understand.
because like, look, I can only tell you anything about the first one.
Yeah. So like knowing that going into this one, what are your thoughts? I'm not excited.
I know that it's not Scream.
Yeah, well,
but it is kind of Scream.
So I say I'm not. I am sort of timidly excited because I don't want a new movie to be, because it's like a new movie, new take on it. It's like, are you sure about that? I have my reasons for not being excited and for being excited.
Also,
but
do we know what this opens against? What else is it going against that
Yeah.
weekend?
I mean, so while he looks that up, I mean,
it's in July,
I mean,
early July.
I mean, I'm excited for anything that Blumhouse puts out. So, like, you know, with this coming out,
like this doesn't go up against like Fantastic Four, does it? And just gets annihilated,
slaughtered and swallowed up. Yeah, but yeah, like I have a lot of faith in.
Wait, is this Blumhouse? I don't think this is Blumhouse,
No,
buddy.
it's
this
Sony.
is
It's
Sony.
No,
It's
it's
Sony.
not. Which is the joke I'm making, because it's going to be shit because it's Sony.
Okay.
Well, all shit.
The thing is, though,
I think this is going to be shit from Sony.
We made the joke though that on Sony's official trailer site on YouTube, it's been out for 30 days. It only has 1 million views.
Yeah,
and like, look, as a small podcast that would kill for 1 million views, I would love to have that.
I'd kill for 1,400 views.
500 subscribers. That's the number. But it's like, who's going? What's going against?
It opens the week before Fantastic Four, so that.
What else opens that week though?
I know he did last summer, Smurfs musical and Eddington, which it might seriously dominate that weekend, but it won't. Like, then it's done.
You say Eddington?
Eddington.
Is that like?
It's not
like a knockoff Paddington?
No, it's something different. That's got
something very different.
Eddington has Pedro Pascal in it, and it's
How many fucking movies is this dude in this summer?
I have Pedro Pascal.
Oh, it's also Ari Aster. The same he did. Didn't Ari Aster do Hereditary and the other one, Midsummer? Yeah. So it's going to be kind of odd, but
it'll be kind of bloody at least.
Yeah,
so Eddington is a allegory on the COVID times and how right wing conspiracy theorists use that to their advantage to take places of power. So yeah,
nice. Interesting.
Anyway.
All right, so back to your movie. Yay, nay.
I don't like movies that do political commentary at all. We're on either side.
We're not talking about
the political commentary and what you did last summer is going to be really good, I think. So
okay. So I don't know about you guys. I've always found the hook to be an incredibly odd weapon to kill people with. It's not designed to kill.
It's definitely designed to maim.
I mean, there's a lot of things that aren't designed to kill that to get turned into like iconic.
I mean, technically, scissors aren't designed to kill.
Yeah,
and I've seen many people.
So I think a good example here is like a hook is menacing looking. I think that's like why like it's a good symbol for like a killer's weapon, because like it looks menacing, right? It's scary looking.
I mean, the harpoon is menacing.
The harpoon is shocking. I think is more of anything. But like
it's shocking when it gets ripped back out.
Oh, that's pain and torment. But like take Negan from The Walking Dead and his bat, right? Like that isn't
the bat has a name, sir.
It's Lucille. It's not meant to kill. It's not meant to kill people, right? But however, you could turn that into an effective weapon to kill people.
Sure,
with.
It just seems so. I'm just talking about
you don't want to be hit with it.
So the whole thing with Scream is like the knife comes up and then down, like what's happening. The hook comes up and then it comes down. It's got to be at a very specific angle to even penetrate a person with the metal, and like otherwise, it's just kind of you just hit them with a piece of metal.
I mean, still though, that also can be an effective weapon.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure the murderer from what we did last summer is probably more than proficient in it by this point.
Yeah, maybe? It's just
maybe.
It's really kind of.
You think he fucks up one time and like kind of like maims someone in the way he doesn't mean to? And he's like, he's like, I'm so sorry. Hold on.
You hear the clunk. He's like, shit. Now you got.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to do that here.
Ooh.
But I've always thought his even like his given his like the costume of the fisherman with like the overcoat. The rain, the slicker.
It's got to be so humid, right?
That's the thing. Is like it's
sweaty in there.
It's also so inefficient to kill people with.
Well, like, have you ever walked around one of those? You make a lot of noise.
I put one on in the office, and that was cool because
it smelled crazy in there.
So one of the things I had about how the office is set up, like there's a bullpen, there's a bunch of offices that shoot off in different directions down the hallways, and I came around the hallway, and a stunt person had just put it on and was looking right in my direction with like the hat down, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of creepy. Even in like
ominous,
even in a production office with like people around and like lights on, like creepy as shit. He was holding the hook, and I wanted to steal one of the 7 hero hooks they had made. So
Yeah.
I wanted, but I couldn't quite pull that
I would
off.
rather have the hat, honestly.
You know, I want one of like the hooks.
No,
made
because
for...
like you can just get those, but like to have the hat like slung down.
Sure, yeah, no, I totally get that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think this movie is going to do anything, unfortunately, especially because it comes out a week before Fantastic Four, which is going to destroy everything before it.
I don't know. I
I
bet
don't
you Smurfs kicks its ass.
You think? You really think so?
No, I don't think
Horror
Spurs.
movies have an
will.
odd staying power these days. I don't think Smurfs will do
Lilo and
anything.
Stitch will run the table for a long time.
I don't think Smurfs will do anything, to be honest.
This
with
is
you.
like 6 weeks though. I don't think it runs it for that long.
Okay.
So
Well, yeah, I think
could.
Smurfs beats. I think a kids movie will beat. I Know What You Did Last Summer.
that's what I mean.
No
I
matter
think
which
so.
ones they're
I
at,
think Smurfs-
or the collection of.
Because, I mean, for every one
It
ticket,
comes out the week before that.
well, theoretically, you're not selling. You can sell a single or a double ticket for. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Theoretically, you wouldn't. You'd sell at least 3 or 4 tickets for
It's like
a kids movie because
it's like the average ticket sale for a kid's film
it's got to be 3 or 4.
It's like 3.25.
So wait, is this in between Superman and Fantastic
Yes.
Four?
Yes.
Oh man, it's
no.
making nothing.
Well, which look, I mean,
Holy
which makes me
crap.
believe it's like Sony doesn't really believe in it, and I mean, you have to understand where it's stuck. Is like that's got to say something. It's like where you choose to stick it. It's not, or you choose to hold it for a year.
The
maybe,
real
but-
well, you don't have to hold it for a year. Hold it till October.
which is what I found was odd.
Let's put
too.
a fucking slasher
Yeah.
during slasher movie time.
It probably does it cost the money to like
Yes,
Sometimes, yeah.
different times. of year.
Halloween's probably really expensive. You know,
I bet you it's not as expensive as the middle of fucking July.
Yeah.
However,
Hey,
Well, but-
last week of September, great time to dump a shit movie.
I Know What You Did Last Summer. Put it in
Sure.
summertime.
Hold on, that's nope. I gotta stop.
I know.
I love how
Fine.
disappointed
I can't-
people are.
Yeah, I can't comment on that. Oh, hold on though. But so this Halloween, I'm looking for horror stuff. What are you laughing for? Stop.
Because he knows what he said.
Oh.
He knows how fucking terrible it is.
Yeah. All right, Chris. Let's calm down, Tiny Dancer. Calm down. October. I don't really the Black Phone.
Okay.
Black Phone
Mortal
2?
Kombat 2 might do some odd.
Fuck yeah.
number of bits.
No, I'm going to see that.
Chris, aren't you excited for Deliver Me from Nowhere? Okay, so that's something you're excited
What
about.
is that? Do I know what that is? Should
We
I?
we haven't
I
watched,
do have a movie
we-
podcast.
We haven't watched a trailer on it
Oh,
yet.
okay.
And there's also on Halloween. It's called The Thing with Feathers. Comes
What?
out.
So is that like the Thing from like John Carpenter's?
a father and his 2 young sons dealing with the sudden death of their wife and mother?
That's
I'm
gonna be
looking. Oh,
a
Benedict,
fun family movie.
Cumberbatch, David Thewlis. That's not nobody. Those are some big names for a film like that.
Anyway.
Interesting. Okay. No, man, nuance. My favorite N word. It matters.
That
yeah,
implies he
so-
likes other N words.
Had to rank them.
All right, let's move on then.
Let's do that.
Nuance,
Yeah,
nostalgia.
yeah,
New.
Yeah.
nude. Yeah.
Nude.
Okay, so we've talked long and too about these 2 movies. It's gonna be a weird summer for me with these 2. I can't get very excited for them. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. It's
Who we getting from the cast to come on the show?
that's the real
That's what
question.
you need to focus on.
Well, I did get a chance to meet Freddie Prinze.
Because like, look,
he was
I feel
cool.
like that guy would
Has
come
some
on the
stories.
show. Because like, look, he wants to talk about professional wrestling. We can do that.
Oh hell yeah.
Well,
That's what he does,
so
man. Like,
something I will not mention here. I know all the down low, all the dish of what happened back then and what happened, all the drama on set with all the actors. I'll explain to you guys. I won't talk about it live, but I'll explain to you guys. You
Why
guys might
not?
find it interesting.
why? I mean, let's talk about it.
No, I
week.
don't know.
don't
Maybe like 10 years after this is done.
I don't want to
maybe.
bury the chance to have Freddie Prinze on the show.
It's fair.
Maybe he'll talk about it.
There you go.
Freddie Prinze, if you want to come on the show,
That's the fucking.
Put it
That's what
on.
I'm telling you to ask him.
come on to the basement. Jennifer
Whoa,
Love.
whoa, whoa.
Hey,
Jennifer Love, you want to come down to the basement?
I
with me,
would
guys?
go to him.
Yeah, we'll travel.
We'll travel.
We will travel to you, my friend. All right, we've talked about some trailers. Let's talk about a movie recommendation
Yeah.
this week on Post Credits Podcast. Roger, what you got for us?
So my movie recommendation, because it's my turn this week. Lucky for me, I have also chosen a Mission Impossible movie because one, I'm not stupid, but I have chosen Mission Impossible 6, which is Fallout, which I believe is the best Mission Impossible movie.
I would, having just done a fresh rewatch of all of them, I would agree with you.
Because it could have ended there. You know
It
what I
could
mean?
have.
They could have ended it there, and they didn't.
Which-
and
They set it up to end it there, like it was.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It
But-
felt like
but,
it, yeah.
I mean, it
Julia coming back, and
it was
you know,
so good though that they didn't do that, and I think we get now. Not saying these last two movies, the Dead Reckoning part, we'll just call it Dead Reckoning at this point, and Final Reckoning, I think are fine movies.
Yeah.
And, we'll talk about that too. I think Fallout's fucking awesome. Like,
Yeah.
probably one of the best action movies ever made. And
No
from
doubt.
point A to point B, it's all action all the time. And the story, it just works.
Yeah.
In the world where, Tom Cruise can run like this for as long as he fucking can, but it's a good overall movie, and it checks every box you want it to, even if you have never seen a Mission Impossible movie. And I know for a long time, Chris, you had never seen a Mission Impossible movie, and I know you watched Fallout before Dead Reckoning, at least.
Yeah.
What did you think about that?
So I didn't watch it before Dead Reckoning. I watched it before Final Reckoning because I went back and watched them all after I watched Dead Reckoning.
Okay.
Because I was so impressed by the movie that I watched all of them back that. I would say Fallout is the best one. I would agree with you on that. However, I like Ghost Protocol a lot.
Ghost Protocol's pretty good. Well,
That's
hey,
number 4.
good villain.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The
Good
villain
villain.
in that one was so good.
The thing that, like, the villains don't. Unlike James Bond, the villains don't make the movie. Ethan, I mean, the stunts make the movie. Like,
well,
that's
I would even argue that in a lot of James Bond films too, that the pull is Bond, right? And
Sure,
like,
always,
the villains
always.
aren't always strong. But
they're meant to be, I guess.
but Fallout's it's great, right? So like in after as rewatching them, it's interesting to see the evolution of the action power that each movie has, because like they're all action movies, they all have good action in them, but like just the scaling and the impressive nature of like the visuals that they deliver in each subsequent Mission Impossible movie is really cool to see in like I'm gonna watch these in back to back like setting, right? I watched them over I watched them over like three or four nights is what I did, and like everyone was like, "Wow, that was good." Oh wow,
it's a lot of Tom Cruise.
I mean, let's be
fair.
fair. They're not all that good. Like,
no.
One's okay. Two's not.
Two's bad.
All the jokes aside, like it is very early 2000s.
It's a great action movie. It's just not a good movie. That's the thing.
3 is okay, and then 4 is where things really start to come back into like a semi-cohesive story.
Wasn't that around the same time that like Fast did that same thing?
Sort of,
kind of came back and started a continuous story all the way up.
They wove their story together
instead of being independent movies. Which I'm actually surprised we now know what the Rabbit's Foot was. I didn't think we were ever going to know what that was.
Hey, they didn't have to do that. And they chose.
Well, no, that was not intended for that.
They didn't have to, and I don't know if that's actually what it was. But
no, it was.
They made it work for this film.
Yeah, like
so
look,
cool.
in long run, sure, we know what it is.
That's
great.
Well, what are the 2 black sheep films of Mission Impossible?
2 and
3.
Yeah,
of course. But like I have a whole spiel on 2. Is like I think Dead Reckoning Part 1 is actually kind of a remake of 2 in a weird way.
Maybe.
There's far less Fred Durst.
Yeah. Zero in the. But anyway, so here's the thing about Fallout. Fallout was 2018. It was at a time, right before the end of Game of Thrones was at an all-time high. The Marvel stuff was at an all-time high. That was a good couple of years for movies. It was doing very well for itself. Fallout did monumental numbers.
Did big money too.
Huge cast. I mean, of course, and I just watched it again, and I got to say, the Tom Cruise and Henry Cavill fight in the bathroom with that dude.
Fucking awesome.
They get tossed around like ragdolls. I love it.
That scene is iconic for Henry Cavill.
Oh yeah, I know what you're going to talk about.
Yeah. To where he like loads his guns in a way.
He does a whole interview about that.
Yeah.
Because of it wasn't something he did intentionally. Nope. He did it because he said his shirt kept up in his armpits.
Yeah, and now
he was swinging, it was uncomfortable, so he did that to get it out.
Yeah, and now it's iconic to like.
The director fucking loved it. He's like, you just reload your arms. He's like, what? He goes, watch this, and he shows him the day. And he's like, oh,
Chris McQuarrie did it. Yeah, but that's the thing. I remember on the trailer they put like the cocking noise of a gun in it. Yeah.
Fucking reloaded.
Cavill, he probably deserves that.
It just proves that even Henry Cavill's making mistakes or going off script, he can do no wrong.
Yeah,
so. He's good. I just don't understand why you toss him away from Superman.
Gun. That's a whole other podcast.
He didn't do that.
No, he
didn't do that.
So, and to your credit, Roger, I will say that Fallout, not only is it a wonderful action movie, but it does have those wonderful ethereal moments that like they don't work. And I'm going to talk about the scene where like Ilsa, Rebecca Ferguson, is like following, even though because like Ferguson was introduced in 5 and she kind of introduced for reasons, kind of trying to stop Hunt in other ways and support at the same time. And then she ends up falling in love with the man. But like she's following him through the city and through the hedge maze. And it's like this awesome, deep, reflective music that Chris McQuarrie used. And it's like they then meet in this long orchard in Paris where like it must be a historical place.
Mm-hmm.
And like they have the conversation, and it's just movies have a hard time pulling that off as well as Fallout did. But that's one of many examples in Fallout that just worked. And we saw the end of the Hunley character, the Alec Baldwin character. Who is the woman that is now president in the new film?
Angela Bassett's character.
Yeah, Angela Bassett she was in that one too, and wonderful in that one is. It's just a Mission Impossible. If it ended at 6, I would not have been upset. Because that's a great note.
It would have been okay. But the 2 movies we got after that are good.
They're good,
which is surprise. I mean, at the time, you never know how something's going to turn out. But like, I'm happy with how this shakes out.
I'm happy we got him.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I do honestly though. I would stand by 6 if I had to pick one of the movies. 6 would be the hill I would die on.
Well, 1 or 6 would be the one though.
No, it'd be 6.
Well, okay, but fine. But one's iconic shit.
It would be 6.
It'd be 6.
6 doesn't have any action sequences like the first one, though.
Doesn't matter. It's a better movie.
Agreed. Well, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying the argument to dismiss the argument is a foolish thing. That's what all I'm saying.
I dismiss the argument.
Okay, fair. Anyway, so that being said,
recommendation.
I mean, hey, this is digital and timestamped, so whatever. Anyway, let's talk about the franchise as a whole. I got some things I want to talk about. I just did a rewatch. I'm really excited. Is the first question I have. So I just watched over a week. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7 part 1 and part 2. Well, I mean they're separate movies.
7
now.
and 8.
Yeah. I don't understand the vitriolic hate that this series that Tom Cruise gets for it's Tom Cruise and he's too old. Like, I don't understand why people want to die on that hill. And I've done some research a little bit on people are really upset that he's still doing action movies at his age. Why does that matter?
It doesn't, because the opinions of what other people think you should be doing shouldn't be what dictates what you're doing.
Why don't they?
It'd be the same thing if people were dogging on Liam Neeson for still cashing them checks for action movies. Like, we talk about it.
We call it as a joke, though.
Yeah, but it's like the man, like, the people want him for movies. They pay him for movies. He does movies. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think there are a few people in Hollywood that has like garnered enough like mutual gained respect amongst their peers as Tom Cruise has to just make a movie he wants to make. This is his studio.
Yep.
They're doing it.
It's his baby.
It's at this point his film franchise. So like, I don't understand why anyone would even like be able to weigh in if he should or shouldn't be doing these things anymore.
Well, what Chris means though when he says it's his studio, if you, dear listener or dear watcher, if you don't know, Skydance is Tom Cruise's studio.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody knows that.
Yeah, and it even says
every movie that
Tom
says,
Cruise production.
Yeah, every movie that says Skydance, Tom Cruise.
Skydance was J.J. Abrams. Maybe no,
that's Bad Robot.
Yeah, okay. Oh, you're right. You're right. Sorry.
But yeah, that's Skydance is important here.
Yeah, but just to that point, I mean, should Craig not do any more action films because he's getting old too?
No, absolutely not.
You know what I mean? It's like that argument.
It'd be really weird if he did another James Bond movie.
Absolutely not. As in, no, he should continue to do if he wants to do them. Yeah. Daniel Craig's. I mean, I'm not gonna tell a man no.
It's just like if they're capable.
Because you look in his smashing eyes and fall in love with him.
They're actors, right? If they can act the role, that's what they do. It doesn't matter how old they are.
Of course,
of course. Should Tom Cruise be playing a 22-year-old action star? No, probably not. But he can play the action stars that line up with like him and his character.
He can play an aging action star.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. He does, and he is.
Mitchell Maverick is, which a lot of reference. I mean, there's some. He is back on the deck of an aircraft carrier in this film. So
I did laugh about that.
Yeah,
let's talk
he
about
does put the fucking helmet on too.
Yep.
So I mean, 6 is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 6 I think is the best.
I thought 1 was the best.
Yeah.
Well, no, I can make the argument.
This is your moment.
To dismiss it as a contender for the best, I think is foolish. I don't think that's possible, but that's just my own opinion.
Yeah.
However, so I mean, is 6 your favorite as well, Chris?
Like I said, I'm fighting between 3 of them.
Ooh, which 3?
Well, so don't forget the first one I watched was
Dead Reckoning. Okay.
So like it has
Dead Reckoning's fucking good.
has that initial impression on me of
course.
you know, oh, this is really fucking good, and which it compelled me to go watch other films. So like it has this weird imprint on like my enjoyment of the franchise.
Mhm.
And I know, you know, the general consensus is that it's not you know, like in the top 3 of like strongest movies in the franchise to most people. You know what I mean? Where like it has a different impression on me because it's the first one I saw, and it really did impress me.
Mhm.
But I like Ghost Protocol a lot, and I'm a big villain guy.
Sure,
So
that's okay.
I think Ghost Protocol is probably my number one within the franchise itself, closely followed by Fallout. But like I could make the argument that I really like Dead Reckoning and what it does for the series to kind of like start to round it out to bring it to its ultimate conclusion. I think it does a lot of good things that sets up another movie, even though the setup movie may not be as good as what they wanted it to be.
Okay.
I think it, like you can see a lot of good there, and it takes you on a good ride along the way. But yeah, I think Ghost Protocol for me is going to be my number
the
one.
stunt in Ghost Protocol is pretty. Him climbing that is pretty.
Yeah,
badass.
that is so like that's, and we'll talk about this when we talk about the actual movie. That's like a truly suspenseful stunt that like the whole time I'm watching it, it actually has like a physical effect on
Yep.
me, where it's like, you know,
You feel it.
you catch your breath for a few seconds, or
course.
like you notice like, you know, oh, I need to breathe, like, you know, like that kind of thing. So I'm sad I missed that one in theaters.
Mhm.
You know,
Oh, it's fucking intense.
so it's like
Yeah.
that's cool.
One thing I wanted to say: if you like the strong villain, surprised you never mentioned 3 as in your list, because like I think the villain in 3 is Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, Hoffman. Yeah,
He's got an edge of the other villains because he's more like blunt and in your face and not trying to be like super smart about who he is. You know what I mean? It's like there's something to be said for villains that just say, "Hey, I'm in your face. Fuck you." Do
I
something
think
about
Ghost
it.
Protocol has a very strong villain, not the strongest villain, but it's wrapped up in a all around better movie than
Fair enough.
3.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
But-
that's the problem with 3, was you do have a good villain, but 3 overall
That's all you
is
have in there,
only
though.
okay.
Yeah,
so.
because you're right. He's the best villain in the franchise, but the movie's not that, you know, isn't as good.
Fair. I mean,
So-
it's got its points, but none of the cast besides Ethan and Julia carried on.
You
They-
definitely,
they
you
weren't
definitely
always
get
there.
the multi-mask
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, so I'm sorry. I don't know why I always think this, but the mask thing was in the first one too, and no characters actually were introduced that went it continued in 2. I always think that the Ving Rhames character came from 2. He doesn't. He's
No.
in the first one.
Mhm.
Luther. I said that in error. I'm sorry about that.
It happens.
You should
A lot
apologize.
of movies
I'm glad you did.
to sift through in your
Well-
brain all at once. You know what I mean?
Especially
If you
characters
hadn't
that come and go.
apologized, I never would have forgiven you.
That's fair. I expect that from you, villain over there on the.
Yeah.
That's the so with 2 though. I have my theory about 2 is like the first Dead Reckoning Part 1. Well, Dead Reckoning, it was kind of a reinvention of the second film, and I hadn't noticed it until I just did my most recent rewatch, because I just did them all real quick in a row. Is the things that Ethan says to the Haley Atwell character is almost exactly what he says to the Thandie Newton character, almost verbatim. And I thought that was pretty, like, you wouldn't do that unless you're trying, because like it's got to be a thing that people stigmatize a second film. And I can see Tom Cruise like, I'm going to bring that character back, and I'm going to make you guys like her again.
He did grow his hair long for this one too.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
If-
again-
listen, if he would have had some wraparound shades.
Yeah.
But he's like, he's talking about like,
explode.
he's talking about the, I don't think you know what you stole, when he's trying to be flirty with Thandie Newton's character in the tub, and she's stealing something. And in a different way now with Haley Atwell's character, it's like, it never occurred to me that like that's what they're doing with this. It's not. I mean, you'd have to really be trying hard not to see that, to not accept that. But that's what they tried. Is the one character they brought back or they introduced as Haley Atwell is like a thief, an orphan, and does it because she can and she thinks she's great. Like, well, that's the Thandie Newton character from 2.
Yeah.
That is exactly
Same type
and
of person.
they kind of have the same. They make the same decisions that they make when they have the world at their fingertips. They give it up because they want to do the greater good. And it's like it's kind of very similar character arcs there too. So that's my theory. I can't prove it, of course. I just think it's legitimate theory.
I'll have to ask Tom next time I see him.
How often
Yeah.
you guys talk?
The next
That's-
mixer.
Mind your business.
Fair enough. Anyway, so I got some questions for you guys.
Okay. Now you said these are going to be different kind of questions.
Ethan Hunt, James Bond. Who's got the better women?
Better
Better
women?
This is a very
Who's the better ladies man?
Huh. better ladies
man? That's a better way to phrase that
That's
question.
a better question.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, James Bond is openly suave.
Yeah.
Where Ethan,
Yeah.
you know, he's got a
little rough on the edges.
well.
It's
He doesn't try to be like the guy wearing the tuxedo and
that's it.
You know, like you're standing next to a bar by yourself. James Bond will absolutely step up and
James Bond is a known womanizer. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like
depends on which one you look at, but yeah.
I mean, not really. So
no.
Yeah, so
I try to defend my boy Bond.
Yeah.
No.
So like, I mean, if anything, you know, like I'd be the Bond defender here. You know, I think out of the three of us, but I think that Bond is the more of a ladies' man kind of guy between the two.
Okay, fair,
you know what I mean?
fair answer.
Yep.
What about for you?
I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, in a room with each other and only one's walking out. Who's walking out?
Gadgets or no gadgets?
No.
So strictly hand to hand, no weapons.
Hold on. Which Bond?
We'll see.
That's the fairest question.
Because the last, Craig and who's the one before him? They're very different.
They are.
Yeah. Well,
every Bond's very different.
One's a killer. One's a
because like, look, if you had to ask me if we put, you know, Ethan Hunt versus Daniel Craig's Bond.
Okay, let's just go
in a fist fight, like in an actual like no gadgets fist fight.
Both of them pissed.
I probably give the nod to Craig, but it's close. But like, look, if that's Pierce Brosnan, Ethan Hunt's kicking the shit out.
Oh God, yeah.
Like, he's got him like tapped out.
There aren't enough onomatopoeias and sound effects to get Brosnan out of that alive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's just they wrote his character to be more of a suave.
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah. Well, Brosnan was more of a gun guy too, though.
Yeah.
He was a crack. He did a lot more with being the better gunman than a lot of the people he was against too, and just taking like wild risks within his movies. Where I think I agree with your assessment. Craig and Cruz as their two characters really close in a fist fight. I think Craig is the one that inches it out like 8 times out of 10.
Yeah, I disagree. I think Ethan. If we're going with Ethan and Craig,
that's
fair.
I could see it.
You know what I'm basing it off of though? Take the fight in the submarine that happens in this film. He was dangerously close to losing that. I don't think Craig's Bond is close to losing that fight. As close as he was.
I think that
strictly hand to hand.
That was on purpose, though.
Strictly hand to hand. Well, it doesn't matter if it's on purpose or not. If the movie wrote it that way or not, the movie feats are what we have to base it off of. And I think that he's no gadgets, no weapons. It's hand to hand.
Yep.
He's literally just fighting in his undies. Put them both in their undies. Oh God, that'd be a scene. Jesus. But like it's like
two men fighting naked over a volcano.
God damn, right? Like that's as close as we get.
Whoever wins gets to be the chief.
Yeah,
like that's how it goes.
Yeah, I think Hunt loses that to Craig's Bond, but only by this much.
It's like, look, if somebody slipped and fell, and like that changes that whole dynamic of that. You know,
I know about how wet everyone will be watching it.
The first one, I think it matters. I didn't realize it mattered in the question because like Bond is actually the franchise is built on like the Bond women are a thing. The Hunt women are not really. I mean, he's better to his women, but he's got less of them.
I mean, as many of them die.
Sure.
Yeah, lots of them die.
Sure. So
there's a through line between two franchises.
Even saying that, Bond has a higher body count, literally speaking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
so the women that have died around Bond.
I think my is going to go to. I'm going to go with Ethan on the fight thing.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean,
I wouldn't argue that.
People, if that was like, if I was alone in the Bond thing, I'd accept that. You know what I mean? Because again, it's really close between those two.
Yeah.
Final question.
It'd be a good fight that I would watch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
Final question. Now, this could be taken a couple of different ways. Feel free to answer however you want to. What's the better franchise? Like if you can only recommend one to a friend and they can only watch that one you recommend, which one are you doing?
So that's it. So okay.
That's
a different kind of question.
Widely,
because one, there are significantly more Bond movies.
That's a big
okay.
one, yeah.
Well, yes, but hear me out though. Not only is there more, they range wildly in good to bad.
Yeah.
Because some of the Bond movies are very, very good.
Yes.
A lot of the Bond movies are really, really bad.
I think they're really campy. And they're meant to be.
The older they get,
that's the era of when they were made.
They hold up far worse now. than any one of the. I mean, because think about it. So we have a 30-year range for Mission Impossible. If you went back 30 years ago, to the early 90s and watched whatever Bond was at that time,
it'd be Brosnan,
it'd
right?
be the first Bond, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know if that holds up as well. Like
Wait, the first what?
the first Pierce Brosnan.
Goldeneye was like 95 or something.
Yeah, so like 30
yeah.
years ago.
Goldeneye's a good one to start with, though.
That's crazy
But
action
the one after Goldeneye is that Diamonds Are Forever.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, I don't actually know what that was. That was one in 2002. Whatever the ice castle, that was 2002.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. Because like that movie's pretty bad.
It's really bad.
Like 95, 2002, there wasn't a Bond
I don't know.
film?
Hold up. But I mean, so that's the thing. I would rather go back. Wow, Goldeneye changed a lot of stuff.
Goldeneye's good though. But
See,
Goldeneye's really good.
I hold Goldeneye at a higher level just because of the
game.
N64
Yeah,
game.
it's tough. Yeah.
It's like, look, that changed a lot of things.
It
That
did.
wasn't just the movie being good. Like Goldeneye, the shooter, like changed FPS.
It changed
period.
changed the landscape of
Changed
shooters.
That. So I will always hold that at a higher regard. But I mean, if you went back 10 years past that to like the mid 80s Bonds,
they're not.
Oh, dude, it's
Yeah.
not there.
Even before that, though, is
Yeah.
there's no-
I mean, because Sean Connery's Bond, well, campy, it's Sean Connery.
Yeah,
and you get that level of actor. But I mean, we have some really bad Bond.
Oh,
people.
Tomorrow Never Dies. I forgot about that one.
I see that's bad too.
Tomorrow's not good though. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
and
bad
the
too.
World Is Not Enough is another
Yeah.
Pierce, but those are after.
Yeah.
Those are two after Goldeneye.
Yeah. Like I said, if you start with Goldeneye, it's a much tougher discussion because
if you start with Tomorrow Never Dies, it's Mission Impossible.
So okay, but so I'm gonna shift the perspective on the question a little bit.
Sure.
What if I take the Daniel Craig Bond versus the Mission Impossible, franchise? Like I think that's
a much better.
That's a good comparison.
it's tighter, right? You know what I mean? Where I think that puts Bond at an immediate disadvantage though, in a way because it doesn't have as many movies, right?
5.
Yeah,
Five.
it's got a couple of this. But the thing is too is while there are a couple of not great Mission Impossible movies, like Quantum of Solace is a pretty bad movie.
It's really bad, unfortunately.
For Bond. So, and that's 20% of your franchise
Exactly.
being bad.
Yeah. But
So-
that leaves you with 80% of it being good, or decent at least.
Decent.
Yeah. I think from that perspective, zooming out there, I think Mission Impossible is the better franchise at that point, right?
Grayson, can you pull up the 5 Bond movies?
For Craig?
For Craig, yeah.
Craig, yeah.
I want to make sure I don't miss anything.
Yeah, so like, it's tough, right? So like, the characters themselves, like, I like the fact that Hunt has a team,
Sure.
and the movie being about the team, the movie's being about the team, and
It's
in
been
some
about
way,
the
shape, or form.
team for a while.
Yeah, and here's the thing: there's real stakes involved there too, because in one of these films, he loses the whole team, and that's like impactful, right? He ends up getting a new team, of course, because like the franchise wants to keep going in the way that it's successful, but like that happening makes it feel like, oh, we can lose team members at any time, so it adds a little more stake to it.
It does.
Bond is Bond, and you don't expect to lose Bond in movie 2 of whatever contract Craig's in, and like the people around him are never the highlights, until we get to into like the last couple of Bond films.
I would disagree. Some of the people that play those, like Q, Moneypenny, and some of those gadget guys.
Q's the only person I would say.
Yeah, but they're staples to the franchise. They're not key to the story.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like, of course.
Yeah.
So
Like,
that
there's always
changed a little
things
bit
that
in Bond, in the Daniel Craig Bond, where they made Q when they made his character in the last couple, like the last movie for sure, they made him like an integral part of the movie. Not just the gun guy.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like until near the end of the Bond.
But overall, he was just the quartermaster.
Yeah.
So
like Bond's is more of a solo show with like some highlights around him, where Hunt's character has a team involved in there, and it adds a different level of stakes to it. And I like the fact that say what you will about this statement, because I know it's going to sound wacky, Mission Impossible is grounded a little bit more in reality to me than the Bond stuff is.
Sure,
you know what I mean. But like, to say that is,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
The only ones that I would say are grounded in reality are the Craig ones. The other, even the Pierce ones, are still kind of out there.
Well, I mean, space laser nuking, just burning a swath across the fucking ice. No one's like, What the fuck is that?
someone in like northern Asia is like, what the fuck?
So,
Huh? What is? Holy shit! It's
so
happening.
2006 Casino Royale, 2008 Quantum.
Excellent movie, by the way. Casino Royale, fucking love it.
Yeah, it's
great
great.
movie. I need to watch it
2008
again.
Quantum, 2012 Skyfall, Spectre,
Skyfall, I like Skyfall.
Yeah.
Spectre 2015, and No Time to Die 2021.
See, those last two are good to be. Like,
The only bad one there is Quantum, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, bad one. Yeah,
The others are like the varying levels of quality.
I think the first and last are great of Craig's Bonds, like great movies. Whereas, like, see, here's the thing. Okay, so here's the last point I'll make on it. Right.
Okay.
I think in the end, I give it to Bond, and I'm a little biased because I'm a Bond guy.
Okay.
However, the first and last movies are so strong in that series, and to end on such a strong film, I think is really important for that character and how you close it out. I don't think we get as strong as a closeout as we do with the Mission Impossible.
Well, I think there's a reason for that. I'm not going to say what it is. But
Okay,
I think you guys know what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
the finality of the Bond ending.
Yeah,
is a little bit different.
I think it's possible, and there's details there, but that doesn't take away from how good that ending feels.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I think for me, Bond's gonna Craig's Bond is gonna inch it out because of how good it starts, and it's got such a strong finality to it. It's part of the films.
Okay,
I think that's where it gets to me. Again, just like the Bond versus Hunt fight, it's so close. You know what I mean? So
for me, it's Mission Impossible all the way. Yeah. I think it's because like if you do the whole Bond franchise, well, 90% of it's schlock, but fun.
Oh yeah,
but schlock.
Yeah.
And the Craig ones are the ones that ground it. I mean, that's the.
I'm thinking purely through the Craig lens.
Sure, I mean, in comparing the two, I still think, to me, it's more. Ethan's always a killer, but when Bond was a killer for the Craig films, he was a killer. When he wasn't, he wasn't. But Ethan's always a killer. Like he'll do what has to be. He'll do what has to be done, and he won't even think twice about it.
Yep.
At least that's to me, because Craig brought that killer instinct back to the character.
He brought a real grounded, gritty, I will actually choke you to death in a fist fight if we had to,
Yeah, well, Craig's character went through an actual evolution of like why he was a killer and what kind of neutered that too for him.
Did Ethan? Maybe not as obvious as
none of the other Bonds did that. Because the other thing too with the Bond movies, if you look at it just strictly through the Craig focus, is we didn't really see the beginning of Bond until we saw the Craig Bond.
Yeah.
Like we didn't see him be recruited to that.
As 00.
Yeah, to become 007. So
we did in one of the Casino, we did kind of see how that happened.
That's what I mean. Like we saw that happen. We saw him become who he is.
How many kills you need?
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's a little. I just wanted to have those fun questions that turned into a little more serious.
What about you?
So I think it's closer than I don't think I need to pick. I'll let you guys draw your own line. The Craig franchise of Bond is very good. The Mission Impossible movies are pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'm just happy we have two good action-based movie franchises with good leading men.
How very Swedish.
Yes, look at me.
I think Fallout is better than
does that. Not Sweden.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Swedes have very strong opinions on things.
Very sorry, Sweden. Very sorry, Sweden.
Sweden, if you want to come on the show and talk about this,
yes.
I think the Fallout is stronger than any of the Craig films. I think if one's going to beat it, it's Casino, and I still don't think it's a fair fight. But that's just
Casino's a fucking good movie.
It really is.
So anyway, let's get into the movie of the week. Now that our palates are kind of wet for it, we're doing this.
Moistened.
This week,
twice.
Episode 31 of Post Credits Podcast is a discussion at last about Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Awful name, by the way. I gotta say, it's an awful name.
So it's only awful because they named the last one Dead Reckoning Part 1.
And then they had to
rechange it. Because, look, if they made this one called Dead Reckoning and then Final Reckoning, if it was meant to be that way, I'm fine with it. Final Reckoning's it works.
Yeah, it does. You're right.
It sounds fucking biblical.
Well, but there's a lot of those kind of references in here.
What would you name it though? Apocalypse?
I think they shot themselves in the foot when they called it Part 1 and not just Dead Reckoning, because then they would have had complete artist take to call whatever they wanted to in the next one.
Yeah, so I mean, if it was just Dead Reckoning, but Final Reckoning fits the Dead Reckoning
or sentient something, or what's the entity, or that's an awful name.
Which is a new show on Apple TV, by the way.
Skynet, which is the entity, but there's some parallels there, right? I wanted to be the one to say it. I had to be the one to say it. But
this is a better Terminator movie than.
Oh God, stop!
Terminator Dark Fate.
It's better than all but 2 of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it.
Maybe better than all.
Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Of course. Oh my goodness. Man, I'm gonna.
For those who don't know, Grayson's a huge Terminator stan. He loves all of them.
No,
he doesn't.
Anyway, Chris McQuarrie, which has made them all since what, 4?
I think so.
I think and he's now Cruise's producing partner as well. So, in the list of, that's why I didn't list the cast for Fallout because it's mostly the same.
Yeah,
except for some people that didn't make it. But of course, Tom Cruise, Haley Atwell, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Isai Morales, Palm Clementoff, Henry Cerny, Holt McCallamy, Nick Offerman. It just goes on. Janet
Holt McCallumy's been in so many things lately.
Yeah.
Good for him though.
The Iron Claw was. I always think about that. An excellent movie.
He's in Wrath of Man with Statham, and
he's the one that calls. He's the one that calls him Boy Sweat. Anyway. Shea Wiggum, which I love Shea. He's like a holdout for me from the early 2000s. All the Bruckheimer films. I love that guy. Just
playing the same role, by the way.
Oh yeah, same guy.
Pretty much. You're right. So let's talk about it, guys. First impressions going into it. I was excited over the moon for this.
First impressions going into it, or when it first ended?
Going in and then first ended.
I was really excited because I liked Dead Reckoning a fair bit, and again, it got me kind of energized for the whole franchise to go back and see it. So I was definitely ready for the movie. I was not ready for 2 hours and 50 minutes of movie. I was not looking forward to that part of it.
It's a lot.
But I mean, trying to play my day around a 3-hour movie is like wild with 2 kids and things to do. But
there's a thing.
Yeah, so leaving it, I was a little deflated on the exit. I don't know, maybe it was the 2-hour and 50-minute fatigue. I don't know if it was some details we'll go over, but like I was like, all right, I was satisfied with the wrap up. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think I was as blown away as I wanted to be, and I felt that when it kind of came to a close.
Okay. So for me, I was super pumped for it. Obviously, been waiting for a while for
2
this.
years, right?
Yeah, 2 years. I thought Dead Reckoning was great, and I compare this very similar to Dead Reckoning. After the movie, though, I won't disagree. This movie probably is too long. The story's fine, though. It very much wraps up a long thread of Mission Impossible movies, and it does it in a decent way.
It's hard to tie 7 movies together for an ending. It really is.
But I mean, it does a decent job at it.
I agree.
And listen, the action in this movie is fucking awesome. Like,
action's pretty good.
Some solid action in this movie. The problem is for this movie,
Here we go.
The story is not that fucking good.
It's not as strong.
It's not. Like, that's the problem.
Well, here's the thing is
the action. Well, hold on. The last thing I'll say is the action can only carry this movie so far, and it does really good job of carrying it until the story has to unfold.
Yeah.
It's not so good.
There's 2 sequences here that I was like, okay, I would have done different decisions here.
Okay,
that's just me.
Gotcha.
I mean, before Chris, count us down for the.
So let's go in and thumbs up, thumbs down. This approved, whatever. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I think it's an easy thought. I don't think.
There's no way. And I started with 5 again for you, buddy.
Oh, thank you.
Do you like that so much last?
He's gonna start next week at 6 and then 7. It's up to 15.
Started at 2.
So that's. I think
overall, it's a fine movie. That's all I can say about it.
There you go.
I mean, I think it's better than fine. I think it's better than good. I think it's better than great. I have my reasons. I have my caveats. However, I mean, it's like these are like the Mission Impossible movies are. I mean, like, if you're talking about spycraft films with trying to save the world from greater evils, there's almost nothing on top of it. There's nothing above it.
Yeah,
I would say. I mean, Bond, because it was so fractured for a while, is at a disadvantage because it was so fractured. Mission Impossible got. It continued to be a thing for more movies than Bond than the Craig one did. So, but anyway, it's
the issue that I have with this movie, and that's why it'll never be great to me, is it's at best the 3rd best movie in this franchise. Like,
I would agree.
It's hard for me to look at it more favorably than, listen, it's not as good as Fallout. It's probably not as good as Dead Reckoning.
That's the thing. Yeah.
And it's not as good as the first one.
Well, 4 and 5 are pretty strong movies. 5 is a strong movie too.
Yeah,
but it's if I had to rank this right now, it probably slots at
fest.
3, maybe 4.
Yeah.
I would agree.
And like, it's crazy to think about it. If you slotted it 4, it's halfway down the list.
Yeah.
It is. What's above it is excellent though. That's
Sure.
the thing.
So
Well, that's also a detriment to this movie. Is the last 2 movies before it are significantly better than this.
So like, something that like that I know people are complaining about is that like it has a long act 1. Its act 1 is a lot of setup. Its act 1 is a lot of this. I didn't mind the setup into this film.
Sure.
And maybe that's because I'm newer to the franchise.
It also had 7 movies.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Act 1 is 7
But
films.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that.
No,
It's a choice to do so. And I understand why they made the choice. I've just watched like these are recent watches for me. And like I still didn't mind the setup portion because I get why they're doing it. Now you could do the whole thing where you're like, hey, if you didn't watch these, you have homework. Sorry, fuck off. I understand why they don't do that here. Tom Cruise is
it's a financial decision.
Tom Cruise is an older an older movie guy. Like you like this is a common thing whenever you have a movie that's continuing, you get recaps. It just happens. Yep. I don't mind that. I think the setup is appropriate, and I think the setup, the Act 1, does a really good job of carrying a through line through that I really appreciated. This is something that I think was really good, was the fact that this movie has a lot of like dread tied to it. Like you feel like the world is ending the whole time. Well, because like the other side of that coin is you get a movie that tells you the world's ending. You get a movie that tells you that this is so catastrophic, and then you're like just on a ride with some characters that like you keep in the back of your head. Okay, like but there's bad things happening.
They're invincible.
Yeah,
not everyone's gonna die. No fucking way.
And like the world's ending, but no one cares. Or like but like this movie does a really good job of making you think the whole time, of showing you that like the world is coming to an end and everyone's freaking the fuck out.
Yep.
And I like that. I love that actually. Like I would actually argue that that feeling of dread that carries the whole film is a better villain than both of the villains in this movie. And I think that's what kind of bothers me because again, as I said earlier, I'm a villain guy, and I think that both the entity and Javier, whatever that guy's name is, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, Morales.
Yeah, I think he's just the weakest fucking villain I've ever experienced in a movie.
He's certainly not strong.
He's mustache twirly in the worst way. He's better in the previous movie.
Well,
he's better. He's a better, and he wasn't a good villain then either, in my opinion. He wasn't a strong villain. I mean, he's good. He's a good actor. He's great, but like he's just not a good villain. He's just there. He shows up when he's needed. He paws and runs away with stuff and like, okay.
Well, he commits the villain sin of like he lets the hero live simply because we need a movie, not because the script is set up to keep them apart from each other until the final confrontation. He lets Ethan live 3 or 4 times simply because why? Because we need a movie.
Well, he says it's so you can live in my world. Whatever.
That's a throwaway line.
Yeah.
The
other thing that I would say when you talk about the villain side of it is in Dead Reckoning, you get a lot of the entity doing entity things.
Yep.
And in Final Reckoning, you don't.
Yeah.
You get very little of that. Very little of the manipulation. Very little of the, the repercussions of what this thing actually is and can do. Besides the fact that it is stealing the nuclear arsenals.
Yeah.
Okay, which it is doing that. It is very bad.
But
directly affecting our characters, though, very little impact.
Yeah. The whole stealing the nuclear like capabilities of each country, that's very world building. That's very environmental impact feeling, because it's so large scale, and it's nothing that our characters are actually interfacing with besides trying to stop it all at the source. They're not going to countries 1, 2, and 3 to take their nukes offline, right? That would be directly impacting the villain, but they're not. They're doing this thing where they're doing other stuff that's eventually going to get them the win against the villain. And it they're not interfacing, and that takes away a lot from it. And the entity and the other villain, they're both better in the previous film.
Well,
I think that hurt.
Let me interject for 1 second, and I didn't do it, but I'm glad I can do it now. It's a good segue. What do you guys think the Rotten Tomato numbers are for this?
Well, I didn't even think about it. I
haven't thought about Rotten Tomatoes in that.
I bet it's still high.
I don't think you're going to be big mad this week, like the previous.
I think that people are hard on this franchise, and I think people are being hard on this film.
I bet it's in the mid-90s for both.
No, it's not. It's not even close. It's gonna be like 70s.
Nope, 80 and 90.
Okay.
Which, surprised me a little bit. The 80s what surprised me. I would have assumed
70s
somewhere
is
in the 70s seems about right.
Okay.
So here's the thing is, and then the Metacritic is
6.5.
6-7, close 6-7.
Yeah.
So that seems about right where this fits.
Yeah, and so I very much agree with that for a lot of the reasons we're going to talk about. But like that opening thing with the villains, I think it affected me right away because like I didn't like even when
Which opening? There's like 3 openings.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, fair. But like so like when we lose Lucius, right?
Yeah, that's
Luther.
okay.
Luther, what is it?
Luther,
Lucius?
yeah.
Yeah, when we lose Luther,
Phineas Freak.
even then, I didn't feel like the villain that causes that like did anything. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
I know he did, but it was like, oh, there's a bomb here now. Like it's very cartoony in a way.
Yep.
And
it's very manufactured for the script.
yeah, and it's like
Not a real world scenario at all.
I know you got a long movie, you know what I mean? But it's like I feel like a lot of this kind of just happens from happenstance, and then we watch Ethan deal with it.
Yep.
Like,
Figure it out.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, and I was very surprised about that, and that repeats itself in this movie a lot. And like a movie that involves a team and like working together, like the fact that Ethan's doing his own thing the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
and like kind of in parallel with the team also doing their thing to help him, didn't feel like we had like the whole like this is the team movie. It was very much like 2 subplots. It literally was 2 subplots flying side by side, which kind of takes away from like the whole, like the team dynamic of the other films leading up to this one. It's a very different feel for what's going to be the final movie in this.
Sure, and I completely understand that argument. I do. Roger, what do you think about that?
I mean, what you said it's true. But I think the movie tries to cover that up by telling when Ethan tells Benji, "It's your team now."
Yeah,
he's like, "You need to run your team, and I need to do my op."
Yeah,
like they definitely have that conversation in this movie. But it never feels like it's Benji's op at that point,
Never.
because he's still playing second fiddle to Ethan.
And he's not calling, and he's not calling shots. Like he's guiding, you know what I mean? But like he doesn't feel like he's in charge. Not that he needs to, but the movie doesn't ever put him in a position or a situation where like he has to make a tough call. You know what I mean?
He failed in 6.
Well, yeah, exactly.
4, 3, 4, 5. He was begging Ethan to be in the field. He was in the field in 6. Benji's not really a field guy. But like that's what like I was expecting Benji to die in the field.
Benji gets shot a lot through multiple movies.
Stabbed and shot. Benji goes through the ringer.
Can I mention something that I hated about this movie?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I hate the word Podkova.
Oh, it's awful. It's awful. Yeah.
It's fucking horrible.
But so
listen, I assume it translates to something.
Yeah.
Because like nothing against Eastside Morales, but the way he would say Podkova, like infuriated me.
but so is like to generic entity. Like that was several. That's just 3 movies in the making now. But it's awful.
So like the entity, it was very ominous in Dead Reckoning because like
it was very powerful in Dead Reckoning
because it was constantly impacting our characters.
Well, the thing with that is too is if you watched 7, which is Dead Reckoning, the entire time through Venice, where he's directly manipulating their comms and leads to somebody dying.
Yeah.
Like in a very long and stressful like sequence that is
very good
far
sequence.
More developed as the entity being a bad guy at any point in this movie.
Like especially he's telling Ethan when he takes over the comm and he's like, go turn left, turn right, go over the bridge when he's trying to find Ilsa and the Haley Atwell character, which is that might be the sequence of Dead Reckoning.
It's good. It's very good.
Because like he gets there too late and like
at no point in this movie is the entity ever that directly
menacing?
against them and menacing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look past the fact that it is taking over the world's arsenal of nuclear weapons, because it's busy, I guess.
Yeah.
That's why it can't fuck with Ethan.
If the entity can do that, wouldn't the entity be able to tap into anyone's cell phone in the room? Like
it can. They say that it can.
Remember, but they have a lot of conversations around cell phones and around microphones and around computers.
Well, the other thing too is, and obviously I'm not trying to say like I'm some sort of weapons analyst or whatever, but you would think after everybody else started losing their nukes, somebody would just take the shit completely off the grid. Turn off the fucking internet and just do the manual shit.
Yeah.
And then we get to the end, we're like, we're going to take it offline. Buddy, you should have made that decision 9 hours ago.
Yeah, I mean, they use the
nothing has changed.
They use the, they
take his Twitter account away. Problem solved.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, for another reference in the world, but
yeah, they use the whole political like paranoia thing.
Sure,
like you know, they highlight that.
They do a decent job of highlighting that too, though, because you would have in a room full of like high level Defense Department people be like, we can't do that. We need to be proactive. Yeah. You would have like we've seen hundreds of movies like that, and I assume that that's grounded in some sort of reality, right?
There's some doomsday scenarios.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you have to have something. But you can't tell me we have to have the internet to run our nuclear weapons program.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like, look, we had that before the internet existed.
Yeah. No, it's
decades.
I'm pretty sure it's, you know, I'm no expert. It's all analog anyway. Yeah. So,
like, look, if somebody walked up and turned the button off, the shit would just turn off.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me there's not a button that does that.
So, I mean, the thing about that is that's like a grain of salt type of. Because when you start getting into that of, oh, but this can happen, like, wouldn't the entity have just done it if it was? Like, that's the thing. It's like, because Skynet would have, that's the whole thing of like, we're just done it. So that's part of the, for me, it's a red flag.
To make entity more menacing, instead of taking them off one at a time, just take them off all at once, all of them.
Yeah.
And just be like, guess what? Fuck you.
Like, well, we just missed we just missed a pivotal scene when they're talking. The generals are talking, and they're like, "We just brought in 50 of our best in the world, and they are keeping this thing out of the nuclear silos. We have 3 days before I think brute forces their way in. We got to figure that. Like, we're taking no time at all to do, and that makes me believe, okay, now there's a window, now there's a time window for a reason.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is too,
instead of just a generic, well, we have 3 days.
Why? The way the entity's like, we have to get to the vault. You know, we're gonna make you take me to the vault. Just don't do it. You know what I mean? Just don't.
Yeah.
Call its fucking bluff. You know?
Yeah.
Which, listen, I get it. You're gambling on the world with that. Yeah. But if you don't take it there, it can't nuke everybody.
Yeah, it literally can't.
Like, it is the fucking greatest paradox.
Yeah.
Because if you nuke everybody, you die too.
Or everyone's searching for this key. Just bury it in the woods somewhere. No one's ever going to find it.
Just melt it down.
Just do something.
Now it's gone. Fucking shit is gone.
That's one of the things. Like you ask a question, but you never answer it in a movie because you don't need to. It's
almost like when we get into a scenario like this. And honest to God, I hope our world is never ever like this. Like, not even a joke. But I hope we would have some real redneck answer to it. Be like, just break it. You know what I mean? Did you ever think about lighting it on fire with some gasoline?
Let's start.
Yeah, fuck yeah, I have, buddy. Let's do it.
The enemy just hit a button and nuke. The enemy cannot hit a button if you disable its hand from Starship Troopers. That's aside the point. It's like I understand, and to me it was like, and I this is, you know, for me it's like elephant in the room is like, this is hugely, I think there's some inspiration on Metal Gear Solid 4 with the server room, with the servers all, like they call it a server graveyard, and like that's pretty Metal Gear Solid. I mean, we're talking 20 years ago almost. However,
it feels like Metal Gear Solid 4's story in a way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 4. I mean,
it's very similar.
So to me, there's only so much you can do because it is a very kind of relevant threat in the world. Is everything, you know?
I mean, AI, you know,
sure, of course,
is always a nameless, faceless villain.
To answer your question is like, you hope we're not. Hasn't the Doomsday Clock been at like 11:59 now for like 45 years?
Who cares?
Well, like that, it means something to the world. It has to, right? Am I wrong about that?
Nah, not really.
Anyway, so let's talk about some other things. Let's talk about Ethan and his team. The continuation, it literally takes place.
That's cool this time.
It continues weeks literally after, and the opening scene I was hoping you'd mention
was. Is it weeks? I thought they say like 6 months.
No, it was 2 months, I think.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, 8 weeks or less. Anyway.
Sure, okay.
The sequence I thought you were going to mention, besides the first, you catch everyone up with it, and then all the MIs, is when they're in the hallway with the other guards, and Ethan has to commit. Because like after watching Dead Reckoning, I knew they had to get the American agents on their side.
Yeah.
Who that one turned out to be, come on, man, really?
Yeah.
We're gonna tie it back to Jim Phelps.
So I thought that felt very forced to me, and I was trying to remember if I missed something in like one of the earlier ones where it was like did they ever mention this before?
Like if someone's like say, and then like they were cut off, like even then you wouldn't have been able to know.
Yeah, it's like, but like then I was like, no, they didn't mention this. This feels like they're like it's like almost like they felt obligated to tie everything together in a way.
He gassed a security briefing. He goes, wasn't that like 2 months ago? And everybody's like, fuck, that was
it's so they had to get the American agents on their side. And I like how one's like working with them, kind of like being the hired gun, and one's like still the weird thing with Kittredge
I love
and
they got the guy from Top Gun to be
Parnell,
yeah.
Um,
handsome son of a bitch.
very much.
That phase where was tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
He,
Lined up.
and then Kittredge's weird kind of allegiance to Hunt, but not really, and like he kind of like want to bury Hunt, and then Shea Wiggum's kind of like it all to me.
Yeah, what's that
I'm
about?
not quite sure it worked the way they intended.
That's what I mean with that character, where it's like they connected him back to whoever
John Voight's character in
everything connected back to the first mission.
Yeah, it's like it felt very forced. That's what I mean. It's
you
like
didn't have to do it. Can I? Sorry, I don't want to sidebar about things because they do keep giving out the date or whatever, which is
May 22nd, 1996. That's when Mission Impossible launched.
Yeah. So when we're in the fleet up in the Arctic or whatever, the Alaskan fleet or whatever, and we get Hannah Waddington, the Ted Lasso lady, and she's got this American accent.
Oh yeah,
that I fucking hated.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
it was tough.
I hope you get this right. I don't know how to speak.
I was happy to see her, not happy about the accent. Yeah.
Like, look, are you telling me we just can't have somebody in the Navy that has some sort of British accent?
Yeah, it's fine.
Come on.
Yeah, she don't got to be American.
No.
Let her,
I'm from Missouri. I hope you know what you're doing, Ethan.
Yeah.
There are some things that really
doing this.
There are things that really impress me. And a movie like this, I try to stay away from like looking at IMDb cast list weeks before it comes out, because I would have seen the William Dunlow character. And it's sorry for a spoiler, but if you've seen it, you've seen it. If not, they're speaking to the first Mission Impossible.
It was a nice
like
comeback.
a love letter. And like it was a believable. I didn't feel like that was forced.
Okay.
And that's just me, but you may have felt differently. But I thought that was a nice, because after all that data had been stolen in the first film, he would have been exiled somewhere like Siberia doing something shit.
That didn't feel forced. That was fine. Him having the knife, whatever. You know what I mean? But
first of all, that wasn't even Ethan's knife. That was Krieger's knife.
Yeah.
That was who's the John Renault's knife.
So when he handed him the knife, I went, oh.
I mean, maybe it was.
Like it felt bad.
Yeah.
Why? See, I think that was kind of a nice touch.
Why would you keep that knife? That man ruined your fucking career.
The only thing I can say is it's more
motivation, I guess.
No. I think if I'm going to argue for it, it's because it's kind of a puzzle to him. This was the thing that he someone came in and
because he never knew what
ruined his career.
Well, nobody
knew
what
what I mean.
Happened, yeah.
So he might be thinking, like this is all I have to kind of figure this out. So like maybe, but I agree.
Let me give you a memento of the day you got fired. Hey, remember the worst day of work you ever had?
Yeah.
Here's the knife.
He's been in where were they? Alaska?
Yeah.
Some island in Alaska.
Now because he was punished.
He's happy there.
Well,
he got his wife. He lives with his
to work
dogs.
out for him.
Yeah, hey, he said he's happy.
Where he was stationed, there was probably 6 women to choose from. So, come on. It's just I don't feel like something like usually I'm like, oh, I feel so forced, but like to me it just didn't. And
it was icky to me.
Him being a part of it doesn't feel forced. The knife was forced.
Well,
I think
everything about that, the soldiers getting there before they did, like, come on, you're gonna put like a greater hurdle in front of them than what they've already got.
No, they needed that. And they needed that because there's not a ton of action in this movie.
There's not. You're right about
that. So
that.
I think they did that probably thinking, okay, it's been X amount of time. We have an action scene come up, but it's a very quiet action scene. So I think we need to have a gunfight action scene as well. They need to have something that was kinetic, because the submarine scene we get is a very suspenseful and actiony scene, but it's a different kind of suspense and action. Which, cutting to that real quick, that submarine scene is like really fucking good.
It's good. It's brilliant. It's just I think you lose a lot of the audience after like the 15-minute mark.
Yeah, it's a long scene.
I'm not going to say it's not well crafted, it's not well thought out. It's just there's that really delicate dance this filmmaker has to do between how much can you be awesome with
there's
it.
There's a finite amount of attention you can get.
Exactly, and that's the problem of like the age we're in with YouTube and all the shorts and TikTok, whatever.
Yeah. But can we go back to the island scene for just a second?
Yeah.
For a place that has a lot of high-end equipment, a lot of like valuable data, is there not a fire suppression system in this place? Because this cabin burned down real fucking fast.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I mean, real quick.
Because they needed it to burn down. Like,
well, did you though? Because like they don't worry about the data being destroyed.
Oh, they leave, right?
Yeah, they just fucking leave.
Well, it's the same.
They're like, oh dang, where we lived is gone.
Well, it's the same. It's the same question. Any scene, any film with an action sequence, an elevator, and someone's like arm gets caught. Like elevators don't do that. They open, like they're all open. None of them shut like that.
Yeah, they're all fail safe.
Exactly.
So,
So that's the same kind of thing. Is they needed it to. They needed to burn down.
but I agree. Like
that
it
was plot armor. What that was.
Well, so
But
like,
the thing is, yes, it is, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Like the house just could have been burning.
Yeah.
It didn't have to burn down in literally 2 minutes.
It doesn't have to be burning. They could just leave because they do. They do.
So with a touch of what Chris you said about they need an action sequences. Luther being the first casualty so early in the movie, so I don't feel like it's that big of a spoiler. Is like I feel that because that happened so early that I got excited because, like, you know me, I like it when the good guys lose. I don't like it when you finish 5 films and they're all still alive. Like, how are they avoiding all these bullets? Is eventually you're gonna have to. So I was expecting this one to
have some more casualties,
especially with Ethan in the situation he's in the end. I won't talk about that yet, but I'm like, okay, there's no way he's gonna survive this. Ethan Hunt or not, and then he has a random anyway.
Yeah.
I expected the casual. I certainly expected of the 2 that have been following Ethan now for several. I certainly expected those 2 both not survive. And Haley Atwell's character, because of the debt she owed Ilsa, I absolutely didn't expect her to make it out. Although I thought the one way she'd make it out is if she was in a romantic interest in Ethan, and that didn't happen. So now I'm confused.
She did.
Yes, she
is. She absolutely is.
Well, I mean, it's not super obvious in the way that Ilsa was, though. It's like,
yeah, because it's 2025.
Well, fine, but Ilsa ended Fallout with Ethan saying goodbye to Julia, marry that idiot Wes Bentley, stupid Doctors Without Borders guy. The point is he was boring and he was.
Wow, we hate doctors now.
No. Wow. The point of that guy
That's a bold choice to make.
It wasn't Ethan. He was a safe choice, not the better choice.
The guy that goes into war-torn countries and operates on children.
Whatever. Fuck that guy.
What an asshole.
Fuck that guy.
And then, like, Julia and Ilsa had their moment with each other in the tent when Ethan was recovering, and it's like they both, like, Julia's like, yes, I give you my blessing. You don't feel weird about this. And then, like, it kind of Fallout ending would have said, okay, Ethan and Ilsa are now a thing, and then 7 happens, and you get that weird after they go through the sniper scene and everything. You get that weird.
It's fucking awesome.
It is. But I hate when they do that. You think, and then like, oh, but she actually didn't die, and here's why. But it's you have that scene on the rooftop within like they both talk about the first time in Venice, and she gives him this weird hug and kiss, and it's like that's a nice moment for them. Of course, to be topped off then by her sacrifice on the bridge to help the Haley Atwell character get away from because they need her alive to do what they need to do.
Nope.
It's like I like the way that's architect, especially that sequence we talked about earlier about Hunt running through the mazes and him fighting off those 2 in the alleyway and then sparing Palm's life is. It's like that's a wonderful sequence. I felt like the move Dead Reckoning Part 2, the Final Reckoning, didn't quite capitalize on the setup that Dead Reckoning had given it.
Yeah,
to an extent.
So I want to talk about a couple of pieces like within the movie.
Okay.
Something that I feel like was a really cool but very quick shot. Him jumping out of the Osprey into the ocean was such a cool thing to see on screen. I know we saw it in the trailer a bunch, but that is a quick stunt, but that is a cool fucking shot.
See, the other part of it is because the way that it's shot when he just legitimately just like fuck it and just sprints out and then he hits the water and my body immediately went ooh.
Yep. Yeah. But like it's such a cool shot, and like that one was like I love that.
I don't want to derail you, but
No,
I want to bring up something because it immediately follows that. When we meet the XO of the submarine, I fucking love that guy. That dude rules so hard.
Yeah, that guy's awesome.
Yeah,
we like him. We're meant to like him. We like him a lot, though.
Why are you on my boat? Like, oh yeah, tell him why.
Legit question. Why are you on my boat? And then he just kind of goes along with it.
So are you crazy?
Listen, so I thought about that. Like okay, I'm just gonna.
I know we had the medallion.
Well, it's not even just the medallion though. It's like like to end up in that spot is very specific. And like, and nobody knows where the Ohio is, right? So like they immediately know something's going on. They knew the Ospreys are there, before he jumps in, blah blah blah. And so it's like this guy's not dumb. Obviously, they show us
He knows
that.
he's there for a reason.
Yeah, it's like why are you here? Because like nobody should be in the water here.
Also, you're a fucking psycho.
Yeah, so it's
what
like,
can I do for you?
Yeah, like it's very convenient that he doesn't die. He doesn't die from being in the cold water, and there's divers that are ready to grab him. All this stuff, I'll accept that for what this film is on a large scale. But like that character, I think he's well, like for the purpose of the plot, he's the right guy for Ethan to be kind of lined up with in this moment. Don't get me wrong, but it was believable in a way because like this guy, he's already doing crazy ass shit with like what their assignment is with like finding the
he's already a little crazy.
Yeah, he's already a little crazy with this team. So I was like, no, I like this guy. Like, and it wasn't. I didn't suspend my disbelief for that. It was like, all right, yeah, this guy's on board. You're gonna find people that are fucking on board with this kind of stuff, and I think
one of my very best friends is a submariner.
Okay, yeah,
spent a lot of time on a submarine. They're all fucking crazy.
Stir crazies, I think.
They are all a little fucking crazy.
Yeah,
all of them.
Yeah, to be stuck in a metal tube for weeks at a time, months at a time,
at a time. Yep. Sometimes like days without ever coming to the surface.
Yep.
So do something to your psyche for sure.
Oh yeah.
So I want to take that to,
and you can't even smoke in there. Think about it.
every episode is cool, right?
Yeah.
So
fuck yeah, it's cool.
So going to then the end of the suspenseful submarine scene, real quick. Like I go from being able to buy into the disbelief of he jumps into the water off the Osprey, cool ass fucking scene, and there are people ready to grab him and take him straight to the submarine. A lot of convenience there, right? A lot of things I have to spend. He then has to cut that super expensive state-of-the-art suit to get into the torpedo hatch to get out.
Yeah.
And you want me to believe that he's at the bottom of the fucking ocean and he's going to survive to swim up, not die to the pressure that the suit's supposed to protect against, and he's going to make it anyway.
Well,
that was a lot.
They lay out a lot of stipulations of very specific things you got to do to not die.
Yes.
He does none of them. None of them. And it's like, look, if you didn't die from the cold, which is implied that he actually did die, because we watch him drown, which is always a weird thing to see on screen.
It is.
Yeah. Somebody's
it's a weird feeling, yeah.
Clip that shit.
They're from a Thriller music video,
Yeah. So to be brought to the beach, then float to the surface, be cut out with a chainsaw, to be resuscitated, stuck immediately into an inflatable decompression chamber, and just not fucking die.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Is a lot.
Again, so like there are things I'm willing to suspend, and then all of that is tough for me.
I would have had less problem doing this if somebody went down and found him. Like if while he was coming up, if somebody else had come down, like and gave him some air or something.
Anything,
because at least then it slows him down for the decompression process. Like the bends will kill you.
Yes,
like the nitrous in your blood will fucking kill you.
Yep,
and not only would he have to be in that decompression chamber, not just for a while, for days.
Yeah. Especially not having the protective suit that was made to
they
protect
tell
against
him he might have to be in that thing all day, even with the suit.
Yeah.
For him to obviously plot armor has very little ill effects.
Yeah.
But to immediately get on a jet and go to another part of the world to continue your mission.
Yeah.
It's asking a lot.
Physical form.
Well, the other part is we've seen him do the water stuff before and be dead, and hold his breath for an extraordinary amount. What was it? That scene in the one, it's like 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. Which is an incredible amount of time to hold your breath, period. But he still has to float to the surface while he's dead.
Yeah.
And he still has to be pulled out. And
and that's kind of like where I'm coming from, where it's like
it's a lot.
It's a lot to kind of buy into when you're already lining up so many fantastical elements aligning, right?
Aren't they all like? Doesn't
every think you would ever get warm?
I think you would. Like they're all the stunts from 4 on are all like this is really
fantastical. Stunt is one thing, but like you've literally put this guy in a situation where like scientifically you cannot survive.
Okay, fair.
That's it isn't the odds at this point. This is like you like so many things you've made a big deal and said you're going to die without this, you're going to die without that, you're going to die if this happens, you're going to die without this, and like he said,
none of those matter.
Like all of it is in play.
Yeah, it is easier to believe that he climbs on the one airplane and then to a second one than it is for him to ascend to the ocean
Which I have
to be cut out of the ice. By the way,
Yeah.
How deep's that fucking?
How do you find
like?
him?
Look, your chainsaw blade is 24 inches long.
Yeah, and those things have limitations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That ice is cold and thick.
Yep. So it's just like I had a great experience with the Osprey jump. I had a poor experience with the end of the submarine excursion. Really cool concept and I loved how muffled and quiet that whole scene was. It's a bold choice to do that, and I commend them for that.
Let me ask you a question. So the submarine settling, where it's been down there for a lot of years, it's settled.
It's been down there for 14 years.
Him down there opening hatches in the water, is that enough to roll that submarine?
That's semi-possible, right? Because there's air trapped in there, which is breathable air, probably. So when that begins to fill with water, it absolutely could shift the way the boat would be. It is possible. Now, is it over dramatized? Probably so. But
at Cruise's request.
Yeah, but I mean, do you also think though of things that happen while he's in the submarine? That torpedo falls off that rack and hits him.
He's dead.
He might not be dead, but he's injured.
Yeah, something.
Yeah. Not just I
thought so.
Not like when The Rock reaches down and turns it in the One Fast movie and just points it the other direction. That ain't happening, brother.
I mean, to round out the discussion, like we get a fight in his underwear and we get him swimming through the water in his underwear. If I was 61 and jacked like he was, I get it. I'd be on screen that way too. But it's
old man's still in good shape.
I just
is he only 61?
I think so.
He's like 63 or something like that.
I thought he was 70s.
When they shot this, he was probably.
Oh yeah, it's been in the can for a minute.
Yeah, so there's just a lot there, for me to kind of buy into. So,
the buying into though, it's like, man,
62,
and the stuff we watch, is that really that much to buy into?
He's coming up on 63.
7 movies you've already.
They want this to be they take steps to make this, to ground this in some sort of reality. They set up his limitations by telling us all these things, and then they immediately make them not matter. That's the problem. If they would have never mentioned any of it, he's gonna rip the fucking suit off. Look at him in his underwear swimming. Like that, then it's fine. But the fact that they lay out all these things, and then they all go wrong, and it's like, ugh. I have a problem with that.
So the last thing I'll say about the submarine part, right? So he's free swimming.
Yeah.
Okay. He should have one of the little because those are real things that real submarine people use. Why don't they have one of those?
I think the suit had one built into the backpack that he no longer has.
I don't think so though, because it's never implied to me that he's using it.
Okay, yeah.
Because when he's swimming, he's not directionally
They say when they're telling him about the suit, the coordinates for where you want to be are in the suit. The suit will get you there.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I assumed it was in the backpack.
Okay, I just assumed
which is why I thought he was holding on to it when he got out, but then he lets go because he loses it.
I did like the thing where he launches the magnesium out and it just burns underwater. That was fucking cool.
Yeah, that was
cool.
Well, I mean, like Mission Impossible, the stuff on screen is always top notch. It's never.
No, looks fucking great.
Oh yeah,
looks great.
100%.
And it's cool.
I kind of agree with you, Chris, in the buying into it. I didn't feel the way you did. Because I kind of. That's something. Can Ethan Hunt do that? Yeah, okay.
Sure, he can.
So I remember thinking.
Defy the laws of physics.
So when he jumps into the water, this last thing I'll say about this Osprey thing. I know I'm numb.
You really like that Osprey scene.
I really do, but I
like the word Osprey.
That too.
It's a good word.
It's a solid name.
Because again, I'm
awesome.
a man. So
fucking awesome.
When he jumps into the water and I saw that scene, and then he's in the water right afterwards and stuff, and I thought in my head, I thought 007 Bond could never and I like that feeling because again they do a good job of like Ethan Hunt's character has very specific things that he's willing to do and has to do, and they feel grounded. I was like, okay, that dude probably did would a guy like this would do that.
James Bond let his girlfriend die in 9 feet of water.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if Bond's jumping into the Arctic, and it was I really did feel like okay, this is this has set it apart in this way from a Bond film.
I mean, Bond did face down a nuke.
But that's not the same thing that I'm talking about.
Are you calling that a draw?
I'm saying if somehow Craig survived, I'd be like, all right.
At best, that was a draw.
So yeah, but I thought that was interesting. So okay, so I want to talk about the big stunt.
Okay.
The plane.
The big
planes?
stunt.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I assume that's what you are talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to start us out here. I've never been more bored in my life.
I agree.
So
Well, it's just it wasn't a good way to end Gabriel dying. Sorry, the villain dies. Spoiler: the villain dies. The way he does is like, really?
So
Palm didn't even get her licks in.
I laughed. I fucking
when he
he's
died.
like,
because I went, huh.
I also laugh when Tom Cruise gophered. When he first gets when he first gets on the other guy's plane, he
pops
goes,
his head up.
well, fine, but I have a problem with how
That's
that played out.
legitimately
Well, I was like, he's not going to die here. He can't because Palm needs to get her licks in,
So-
and she never did.
What great talk about is something we did talk about for a while. So the pacing of this movie is great up until a point. Like when we get to the server island, for whatever
things are
reason,
wild. Yeah.
the pacing is fucking all over the place. Like 1,000 things happen. And how big is this island? Jesus.
Oh yeah,
Big
they have
enough-
those
big
things
eye-
on the-
Yeah. So big enough for them to
Have an
you know,
entire dam.
well, have an entire underground facility.
Yeah.
A dam, which I assume is powering the facility. So that I can work with.
Is this
sort
an
of.
island? I thought it was South Africa, or is it an island in South
I think it's an
Africa?
island off South Africa,
Okay,
right?
Gotcha. I
But-
can't remember, but yeah, you're probably right.
But so they're and then long enough for them to get in 2 fucking biplanes.
Yep.
2 biplanes.
2 biplanes.
Well, I mean, good thing there's 2 biplanes.
You did right.
Thankfully.
As soon as
There
he
are
said,
2.
"I even have a second one," I'm like, "Of course you have a second plane."
Yeah.
Why would you have a second plane?
And why is this henchman we know nothing about important enough to get on the second biplane with
Don't
you?
forget about my plane, sir.
And then, well, it's okay.
The
here's-
entity has
if I
proclaimed
could say
it.
something, it's like as soon as he gets the drive, I thought there's no way he can get the drive because then all he's got to do is keep it the fuck away from Ethan, and he wins. Like you cannot give me that to watch because I don't
You mean
believe
the
it.
Podkova?
The Podkova.
Yeah, that he says it's sexier than you did,
Made it.
but it's just it doesn't. All you got to do is stay away from Ethan, and you win. Like just fly to the left, fly to the right, just do something. Stay away
Just
from him.
fly up.
Or down.
Just go up.
But like that's what
You can
kills
only
me.
fly down so far.
True.
That's what kills me. Is like it's just
Yes, that is what kills you.
it's
Get it? Fly.
in those old Briscoe County Junior westerns. He's
Fucking
running from
love
the
that
train
show, by the
on
way.
the tracks.
Yeah.
Just step off the tracks and you're
Yeah.
fine. That's beside the point. It's just there's a fair amount of like you have to just accept what's going on the screen and just eat your popcorn and watch
Yeah.
it.
I think the real problem with that scene, besides the fact that it's miles too long. All right,
It is
it's
very
way
long.
too long.
So is the sub
It's-
scene though.
Well, we have
It's too long.
we had seen this stunt coming because like it's in every trailer
It is.
with him climbing on the
It's on the
planes.
poster.
Well,
Yeah.
the big stunt is like the selling point for a lot of these
Yeah.
movies.
Well, so that's fair.
One
And
of,
like look, the stunt work in this movie, while being too long, is fucking good.
It is.
Yeah.
So
Great.
give it that credit. But when we get to the plane part, like there's still like 40 minutes left in this movie into a movie that is probably already a little longer than it
Well,
needed to
we
be.
get to the plane part and there's 40 minutes left. The plane is 10 of it,
Yeah.
at least if
Yeah.
not 15.
Yeah.
And how
It's
they
like
go back and
because they
forth.
keep cutting back and
Yeah,
forth.
yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it's like I'm not saying they made the right choices, but I'm not as convinced as you guys are they were the wrong choices.
No,
so.
wrong is
I didn't say
subjective.
wrong.
It legitimately, if you look at this movie is 2 hours and 50 minutes long. That's
Yeah.
And at the end of this movie, it's dragging.
Mhm.
And even if you love that scene, by the end of it, you're like, thank God it's fucking finally over because
Yeah.
now we can actually finish the movie.
But like
Yeah, I agree.
I said what I said because like I know that this movie is getting a lot of like that scene's getting a lot of praise. That scene is very hyped up. Like there's a lot of yeah as like a very impressive very very exciting, very suspenseful scene. I was bored. I've never been bored with a stunt action scene like that before. I don't know what it was about it, but I was just like, cool.
May I ask a question?
He's just doing extreme hand gliding.
Have you seen now all of them, some more than once, but within the past 2 years?
Yeah.
The scene where he's suspended on the floor in the first one, he's stealing all the information, like that to you is suspenseful. It is to me.
Yeah.
That's what the sub scene was supposed to talk to.
Yeah.
Because like you're it might be boring, but you're like, is he gonna make it?
Yeah.
And like that was I accept the sub scene for what it was. I like you, I don't accept the plane scene only because please don't be that's the last stunt in the last Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah.
It's kind of boring. They're not even
Yeah.
cool planes.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, like, look, we have seen him do a cool
on.
plane stunt with a more fancier
to a 61-year-old who's helping produce a movie. I bet he thinks biplanes are kind of fucking cool.
Well,
sure.
hold on.
And
I won't hear no
both sides.
biplane slander. Biplanes are
See?
fucking cool.
Because you are a man.
Also, neither one of them has like the old school machine gun.
I know. Like,
yeah, 'cause that's
imagine
cool.
how easy it is for our bad guy if his had a gun on it.
Yeah.
Instead, he's
Or
wrecking
any
planes in
of the bad
sky.
guys that are holding a sidearm.
Yeah.
Oh, is that Ethan on my plane?
Pop, pop.
Dead.
Hold on.
Credits roll.
Yeah. Instead, we have a knife that we can't hit with. You know what I mean? Fine.
Come on, man. Like, it's just
Very
I understand
cartoony
it's
stabbing too.
cartoony, but like that's the stunt coordinator and the directors. You got to come up with a way that I don't think that's stupid.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I didn't buy it. It just seems like that's what you're giving me.
I didn't buy that Ethan Hunt or that like the whole plane part isn't possible for someone to do, and like they didn't and that they didn't make it look good. They did those things, but it's just not suspenseful or exciting. And I don't know what it was. And maybe it's me.
While it's a cool stunt, is you knew what was going to happen the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, again, he's just doing extreme like hand gliding. It really is what it comes down to. And like I don't know, like I was never once like I didn't feel the same way when he climbed the tower.
Yep.
I didn't
Fair.
feel that, and like it's similar. Like he's at a great height, he's hanging on, he's doing this and that, he's maneuvering.
No, but this movie he's plot armored.
He's
so
plot armored in all of them.
I don't
Technically,
know.
he's the
It's
main guy. I thought I didn't.
Well, in the tower scene, that's only like halfway through that movie. You knew he wasn't going to die there.
We
Yeah.
knew, but like
Because
it was
we
shot
had
in a
another
way
hour
that it was shot in a way that like not it was real, and that was he was really climbing on the side of a fucking building.
Yeah.
And this he was really on the plane, but like
What was that? That's the Burj Khalifa, right?
Yeah.
Hey,
again, it's like
yeah.
they're on planes from like the World War I/II era in between those, and like yes, but they're not going fast enough for me to be like, oh, you know what I mean? Like the fall's
Yeah.
gonna kill him, but he's not gonna fall. So I
The
don't care.
last thing I'll say about the plane scene is when he was like, "I'll just leave. I have a parachute."
Yeah. Well, only one of us has a parachute.
Yeah, dude, he's so fucking smug about it.
Oh, he is. Again, mustache
I was
twirling.
really upset the way he expired on screen. I was
I
like,
was just
So again,
I was
though,
surprised.
I
It was very sudden.
just laughed. It wasn't even like a ha. It was like,
I don't think that was first draft. I think that was maybe a desperation. They need to get the movie cut and done.
Maybe.
surprised they didn't crash the plane. Honestly,
Also, yeah.
like together on
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Come down like blaze of glory kind of
Mhm.
deal.
They're fighting in the knives where the plane is exploding above them. And
Yeah.
then-
Like if they're standing on top of the biplane while
While
it's
on
while
fire.
it's on fire and it's on autopilot and they're on the plane fighting hand to hand,
That's awesome.
that would have been more suspenseful than
You're a man. That's awesome. Yes.
I'm a man. But what we got just wasn't it for me.
And they're both
But
nude up there, just
in their underwear, because again, they're both in great shape
I
for
don't know why it
60.
keeps coming back to the nude part.
I'm a simple man. Like it's
Because that's how it works. That's called ceremony, you asshole.
But I mean, I just don't understand where the hype is for this scene. I think it's getting a lot of fake praise.
you're probably
Maybe,
not wrong about that.
But I mean, it's still a cool thing, and like the work that went into it, I know is immeasurable. Well, it's probably measurable in dollars, but like
Yeah, we'll see if it's measurable.
it's a lot of work, and I'm not taking any of that away. I just the payoff for it just wasn't there compared to other things I've seen.
It was a weak ending. The other movies had ended so much. The three leading up to that had ended so much better for me. And this one, I'm just kind of like, when the credits started, I'm like, that's it.
Yep.
That's how you ended this.
Yeah.
Well,
There's
'cause
all
it-
this talk about the world is coming to an end, and then they all meet and they're like, "You guys good? I'll see you guys in a month.
Here,
We'll get
I got
coffee.
you
We're
this.
good?"
Yeah, yeah.
Like
That's
the
how
whole
this
thing where they
fucking
like see each other like, and then Palm's
Cruz,
like,
Cruz
you know.
basically does the finger guns and wings and then leaves. Like
but it ends like 4 does. It ends with him just walking into a crowd. And sorry, spoilers, but I'm actually surprised that Ethan didn't. I thought Tom Cruise, when they were like, he's like, hey, Paulo or the Wagner, and then McQuarrie was like, hey, Tom, 2-parter, last one. He's like, yeah, but I better be fucking dead at the end of this. And then like now we've left it open
If
for
he's
another one.
dead, he can't direct the new team 5 years from now.
yeah, he can't. Yeah, because
He
they're setting
can't be in charge.
they're setting up people to be a part of like
course.
something new.
Which
you
I
know what I
appreciate
mean?
because the IMF can't go away.
Yeah.
It needs to
Yeah.
exist.
Yeah. So when he's the IMF director, You know, when they find him on some fucking beach and he's
Well,
70 years old.
They will though. They will
Yeah.
do another one.
Yeah, just because I don't want to miss saying this, the idea that we would nuke one of our own cities as a political gesture is the most insanely dumb shit I've ever
I
seen.
don't know.
Suggested.
The logic they
It's-
gave was pretty
No,
solid though.
it is You're the only country with nukes left. Sorry, suckers. You know what I mean? Like,
Fuck you! He's
I
doing
thought
the
you
Richard
said-
Nixon, like, yeah, brother.
Wait, the reason they did that. Oh yeah, I guess never considered like so they didn't seem like they like. Oh no, we're attacked too. Look at us.
Oh,
So, like,
yeah.
well,
They're
no, it
doing
was
what they
it,
came to
it was hey,
Washington.
we're really sorry. We'll kill millions of our own people. That's the
Okay, yeah,
dumbest
I
shit
did-
I've
yeah,
ever
yeah.
experienced.
LOL. No.
Yeah, like that's the dumbest shit
LOL.
ever. So.
Well, let me ask you this:
Okay.
the Nick Offerman, did that throw you off too?
I know.
When he went out and asked for the sidearm, you didn't think he was going to be part of the entity.
I saw the misdirection.
Spoilers. Sorry.
I saw the misdirection they were doing it. Anyway, and also, what's up? Like, I hate that the entity has these little agents right when
Well,
they
it's
right when
it's
they need it.
asinine.
Yeah,
I mean,
Right
one
in
on
the
the
critical
submarine is
points
the one
that
that got
you
me
can.
more than the guy at the bunker.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because at least that dude's outside and has a cell phone.
yeah, true.
Fucking Submariner man doesn't have one.
Yeah.
He's
But
not
why
just
would you
like
not-
he's not just
You're-
cruising Reddit,
cruising.
getting
I see what you did
fucking being
It doesn't,
radicalized.
dude, like the attempt on his life also doesn't make any sense because like those guys in the sub, they would have been like hardcore U.S. military. Why is one guy going to be like, you know what? I want this guy. I want the entity to win. What?
Well, because at the end,
I know they give
Yeah,
they,
yeah.
they give you the
Yeah.
idea that the entity is everywhere. Again, it's personified better in the first one when they're in that
I
club.
do like
and-
they present it as a god though, which is kind of interesting.
well, they do it well when you remember in the club in Den Reckoning where
Yeah.
where Cruise looks around, he's like, "This is the entity."
Yeah.
All the walls here, and like that's when the very critical decision is made. But like, its point is like, am I happy with the Final Reckoning? Yes. Would I have preferred it go a different way? Was it to me short of firefights, hand-to-hand combat, Ethan getting pissed off enough to really go set? So if you're going to give me the one scene when him and the Haley Atwell character escape after being tied up and him butchering those guys off camera is like, that's what you're going to sell to me is he can still do it? I don't
Yep.
buy it. That's what I don't buy.
they should have showed that on camera.
I
but
agree
whatever.
because you need to show he's a killer still.
Yeah.
But we just didn't get the same way in Star Wars. We never get certain things. We didn't get them in this movie. That I was like, oh, that's a shoe in. We got to get those sequences.
My final thoughts on the film itself, and I guess on the franchise, kind of hand in hand, is this movie to me is not great. This movie is still cool. It's still fun, and it still does what it needs to do as the final film in like this string of movies. There's a lot of things I found to be kind of underwhelming or disappointing, some pacing stuff, but in the end, it's still a cool movie to watch.
Sure.
And that matters. And I think that's why I still see it as a positive movie. It has a lot of cool stuff in it, and for just an action movie, it does what it needs to do to get there. It's just a little long for it, but it's still a good movie in my opinion, and I think it's a good closeout for what they're going for. It's a closeout that's good enough, I think, is what I'll say, because it needed to be.
So how I'll wrap it up is this is a fine movie.
Mhm.
The major problem that this movie has, besides it's probably too long, is the fact that the last two movies are better than it.
Yeah.
And
Like I think substantially.
yeah,
too.
well, yeah, like
Yeah.
not just a little bit, a good bit better.
A lot of it.
And well, I mean, Fallout is light years better than this. Dead Reckoning, I wouldn't argue is like a giant step forward. It's better, but not a giant step forward. That's the problem with this. Is we've had a couple of the best movies in the franchise right before this, and this doesn't quite hold up to snuff.
Kind of like peters out.
Yeah. But it like look, if this is the end of Mission Impossible, and I assume that it probably is supposed to be, I'm fine with it. It was a good run. You know, the last couple of movies are very strong as a whole overarching unit, and I was happy to watch it.
Yeah.
It just isn't as good as the last couple. That's all.
That's fair.
That's a reductive way to say it. I think there's. I mean, you could talk for 12 hours on the franchise in total, but I think that's a good way to like wrap it up. Is Mission Impossible is a great series, possibly wonderful. This last movie, I think, was kind of the Game of Thrones season 8. It was kind of a letdown, but I appreciate the ride I got. I saw it on a massive screen, massive sound, loved it. I mean, to me, it speaks to me as a fan of movies, as someone who loves them. It speaks to the whole franchise. It has like how all the sequences are represented in both the Reckoning films, from one through 6. It's just, I love Mission Impossible. I think I agree with Roger. It's time to it's okay to let things. Yeah, Mission Impossible is great. We got 8 movies. Then he moved on to something else.
Good job.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We
High
need to
fives
move
all
on to
around.
something else. Marvel needs to take note as well. Not that they need to move on, but they need to find some way to curtail it a little bit. But I hope we are done with this, and I hope we don't in 5 years see a teaser for another where Cruise is the Kittredge character, and these other people are now running the unit. Is like, I don't want to see that.
If Cruz is the Kittredge character, I guarantee you he has a scene where he's running down a hallway to get to somebody else to talk to somebody.
His tiny legs, his tiny arms pumping. Yeah.
Tiny. That's a bold statement.
Well, he was
He's
in
not very
Pittsburgh.
tall.
He's like 5'4" or something. He's small.
Nah, he's
guy.
taller than that, but
5'5".
he's not very tall.
Yeah.
He's like 5'5" or something like that. 5'6". I don't know. It's not very tall.
He keeps growing as you talk. Soon he'll be 6'4".
Fair enough. Anyway, guys,
Send us
thank
out
you.
of here.
Thank you for joining me for this. This good episode of wrapping up a franchise in a long time coming franchise. 30 years.
long
Jeez
time.
Louise.
Shit, it's a lot.
Shit.
But yeah, I'm really happy with it. But
Yeah, you were like 20 when this started. God damn.
I was 11, dog. 96
I thought you were 50. My bad. Keep going.
in my advanced age. Thank you.
Your advanced years.
Yep.
All right, that does it for us for this episode 31 of Post Credits Podcast, a show where we are very lucky to talk about movies with you. If you listen to this episode on audio only, please feel free to head over to YouTube. Check us out there. Turn us on in the background while you work, while you do whatever. However you listen to us, thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing you next week. We have Lilo and Stitch. You guys being weird as always.
Yeah, I moved my camera and it's fine.
Can we go one episode without you guys being weird?
No.
Fair.
Why do you think these people come here? You think it's for a hard hitting movie talk?
Just for the weirdness of the beat.
The beardness.